Welcome in, everybody, to another Sonic Saturday. I'm Sonic Theory, and I'm joined by the one and only Sonic Boy. How's it going, man?
Good. How about you?
Pretty good. I've had a pretty solid week. Of course, I rewatched the Knuckles show, so I'm guessing you finally watched it for the first time.
Yes.
All right. So we'll have to dig into that. But there was surprisingly a lot of Sonic news that I kind of want to talk about before we get into it. We finally got some covers for the 35th anniversary comic. I don't know if you knew about this comic that's coming out in, I believe, July. So we got some different covers for it, and they look really, really good. Do you know anything about this comic?
I saw these a few days ago. I was like, oh, these look pretty cool. And I know it's a classic story. It's pretty much it. I don't know the plot or anything like that.
Yeah, so all the anniversary comics, for some reason, they do it in the classic style, which I think that works. I really like it. There's a little solicitation that we have that goes over what this story is about. So it says, in this throwback story, Sonic and his friends must work with Mighty, Ray, and other classic characters to save the planet from an overpowered Metal Sonic. It's all the fun of early Sonic in a graphic novel. So this seems like, I mean, there's a bit more to it. It says like a meteor's going to crash and Eggman uses it to power up Metal Sonic. But it just seems like it's going to be a little fun story where we're going to get characters like Mighty and Ray, who we don't really get to see a whole lot of, and have them team up with Sonic and his friends to stop Robotnik and Metal Sonic once again. So nothing like brand new, really, but it seems like it's going to be fun. I really like the art for this. I mean, this one really makes me think of like old Sonic art. So I really like this cover. I might grab this one. And we also got our first page for the Sonic and Godzilla crossover. And we get a little shot of Mothra in here, which I thought was cool, with like missiles flying by him or her. I don't know. I don't actually know if Mothra's a guy or a girl, but I do know that Mothra is usually like a hero, like a protector of Earth. So I'm guessing that whoever, maybe it's Gun shooting at Mothra, I'm guessing that maybe they're mistaking Mothra as a monster. So, or a villain, rather. That might be interesting. And we also got some new covers for the Sonic and DC crossover. And this made a lot of sense to me. It like something finally clicked. The comic is called Sonic X DC Metal Legion. And I didn't really know what the title from that meant. But now with this image, it clicked in my head. It's the Legion of Doom in metal forms. So we have like Cheetah in the back, right? You can see in a metal suit. We have Black Manta in a metal suit, and then I believe that's Sinestro, like in the bottom left in a metal suit. So they all have their like metal variants. I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. It's the Legion of Doom Metal Legion. I don't know how I didn't really think of that before, but this time it really made sense. And you'll have to let me know if this is who I think it is, Sonic Boy. Is that Orbot in the bottom right? Like Orbot and Cubot like combined, maybe? I don't know who or what that is.
Yeah, I have no clue who that could possibly be.
Yeah, I have no idea. It almost looks like Orbot's head to me, but like huge. So I don't know. I was glad that that finally like made sense, because the whole time I've been wondering, all right, what is this Metal Legion going to be? Is it like, I don't know, Eggman making an army, or is he like upgrading the Legion of Doom? But things like make sense now, so I'm happy about that. We also got a variant cover, which I really thought was cool, with Blaze and Starfire. And I don't know how familiar you are with DC Sonic Boy, but Starfire is essentially alien princess, and we know that Blaze, of course, is a princess in the Soul Dimension. So I was like, oh, that actually is a pretty cool connection or team up if they're going to mess with that at all. I thought those characters actually do work pretty well.
Yeah.
So we got some people in the chat saying they're excited for the 35th anniversary special. Of course, I am too. Someone here saying, does anyone remember Sonic Boys Live 100?
I do. Oh, great times.
Yeah, 100 streams. That's crazy. We'll have to see if we can hit that many or not. That's a huge milestone, though. Syria Dragon checking in, saying hello, everyone. He also says, I heard Black Manta is Metal Sonic. Yeah, I don't know what all is going on with this. If these characters are like roboticized, or if they're metal versions, or if they're completely robotic, I don't know. I can't hear you, Sanic Boy. You can't hear me? They said they can't hear Sanic Boy. I can't hear you either. Can you guys hear me?
Can't hear you guys.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay. Whew. I was
Okay,
cut off there for like a minute or so. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, all right. We got them back.
Cool.
Okay. So yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if these are like roboticized versions of the Legion of Doom, or if they're like robotic suits or anything that Eggman made. I don't really know what's going on, but it's exciting. We also have the Death Egg in the background. I guess I didn't really mention that. So that's going to be involved in some way. It's always a major threat when the Death Egg's involved. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
And lastly, in this news roundup, before we start talking about the Knuckles show, Sonic Boy's character Red finally got added to Sonic Cross World. There's the whole event going on. You can see the other Angry Bird characters. I don't know if they're like stickers or whatever they do for that game. Have you played any of this event?
I actually haven't played this character specifically. He looks cool though in game. I've seen his events, the stickers, stuff like that. It's pretty much the same with all these DLC characters. Like, oh, it's cool that they're in the game. I don't really see myself playing them at all, really, unless to just try it out. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I'm glad that this is one of the characters I actually predicted. So it feels very good right here. I'm like 7-3 right now on me losing. So
yeah. I haven't played this yet, but for fans of Angry Birds, I guess that's a pretty cool addition. So, all right. Now to dig into the main topic, Sonic Boy, you got to give us your, without spoiling too much, we'll dive in deeper into each episode and go little by little. What were your initial thoughts of the Knuckles show, seeing as this was your first time viewing the whole thing? Because as you know, when this initially came out back in like mid 2024, I want to say, it was not received well at all. It was pretty mixed. Like some people liked it, some people loved it, a lot of people hated it. So the reception was, I would say, about like 50-50. We even have Sonic producer in here saying the Knuckles show is trash. So I'm curious to hear your spoiler-free thoughts before we really dive in episode by episode.
Okay, so to be perfectly honest with you, I procrastinated this entire week and I only got to watch it last night and this morning. I finished it completely, don't worry. But what an experience, man. I'm not going to say I liked it. I definitely did not like it, but it was very evident that it knew what it wanted to be. And I think it did it well, even though it wasn't the most fun or sometimes entertaining thing for me.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I started it last night, my rewatch, and finished it like just before we went live. I was kind of like lukewarm on the show when I went into it initially. I didn't hate it like a lot of people, but I didn't love it. There was something like kind of stopping me from really enjoying it to its fullest potential. But yeah, you know, someone mentions, Surya Dragon mentions right here, the first 3 episodes were good. And I think it's kind of 3, I think, where it starts to lose me a bit. We'll get into it. We'll go episode by episode. But I think the first 2 start off really strong. And then you kind of get into the Whipple family dynamic of things, and it kind of loses itself a little bit. But I personally don't hate the show. I think maybe as a first live action Sonic show, it was a good first attempt, and maybe they can see what a lot of people had problems with. And if they're to do another, take that feedback, maybe not all of it, but look at what people are saying about it and try to course correct going forward. And they've done a good job with that with the movies, So I'm hoping that if they do another Sonic show in the future, they'll learn from their experience with this one. We got Sonic LOL over on Twitch saying, "What's up, Sonic Theory and Sonic Boy?"
It's good, man.
Sonic Producer says, "Has anyone noticed it has the same ending as the first SpongeBob movie? Oh, with like the little like high five at the end and like the freeze frame. Is that what you're talking about?" And the Surya Dragon says, "The last episodes were cringe." So we'll jump into it. The first episode, what are your thoughts, Sonic Boy?
The first episode was the best one, and I have no shame in saying that. It does such a good introduction. It has such a good introduction to the world that we knew, just like for.
Uh-oh. Wait, hold on. I lost your audio. Can you guys hear him? Yeah, it looks like he can't hear us. Can anyone in chat? No, they can't hear you, Sonic Boy. Maybe try messing with your mic in StreamYards if you can hear us. If not, I don't know, maybe try plugging your mic in further if it's not. So while we wait for Sonic Boy to fix that, I'll kind of give my thoughts, or hopefully his audio will kick back in at some point. Oh, I think I hear him. I think I hear his mic. Can you hear? Can you hear me? His mic's not working? Okay. Okay. I don't think he can hear us. I don't know if his mic died. Let's see. See if he gets this. I don't know if he can. Technical difficulties. It's only our third show together, so with technology also, this is like bound to happen at the worst time possible.
Figured it out. My bad.
You're good, dude. Don't worry about it.
Sorry about that.
You're all fine.
Right. Whew. Crisis averted.
Dude, we said this before with our first episode. Technical difficulties always hit at the very worst moments, but it doesn't matter. It's only our third stream together. We'll get things wired out. So
true.
But yeah. So your thoughts on the first episode of the Knuckles show? How was it? I think you said it was the best before you cut out, or the strongest, or?
Yeah, it was the best one. It had really good introductions to the characters. Too bad it was the only episode Sonic, Tails, and Maddie appeared in. It's very charming. I will say that. If there's one thing the show does really well, it is extremely charming. Even if it's bad, like, it's so good in terms of the charm factor. And I think it does a good job with that. Knuckles is such a fun character to look at, especially because the CGI is great in the show for a TV show budget. So that's incredible that they were able to do that. There's another thing I'll get into that's a little more negative, but I'll let you say your thoughts first.
Yeah, like you said, the show looks incredible. That's something on this rewatch for me that I kept thinking about. I was like, the CG for the characters like is just really, really solid throughout. There's some scenes that don't look as great, but for a Paramount Plus TV show, I thought it was really impressive what they were able to do. Um, I do think this is probably the strongest episode, if not maybe like top 3, but it probably is the strongest. Like you said, it's a shame that it's the only one that Sonic appears in and Maddie, because they're both really fun characters as well. I like the whole family dynamic with Knuckles not really like fitting in with them together. Uh, as you see at the beginning of this clip here, he's kind of like Batman in a way. He's like taking out the yard workers or whatever they are doing like house repairs or something. And I just thought that the fun factor was really there in that first episode, and seeing Sonic and Knuckles interact was just great. And it's a shame that we didn't get more of that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Sonic Producer says episode 1 was honestly pretty fun, but it only went downhill from there. And I think that's the overwhelming consensus that most people have, is that the first episode was really strong. I even personally thought episode 2 was pretty good on my rewatch. I remember my first time watching episode 2, I wasn't too fond of it, but I think I liked it a little bit more this time. But it really does I don't know, maybe you could have shortened this series. 6 episodes isn't a lot, but I feel like for what they did, which wasn't a lot in general, they could have shortened it down to maybe 3 and really pulled their ideas, focused their ideas more, I guess is what I want to say, instead of having some weird bounty hunter subplots, some musical episodes maybe you could have cut. We got Reese joining in saying, hi, what's up, man?
What's good, man?
Sonic Producer also says, you get pretty bored when it digs into Wade's story. And that's something that I kind of agree with, but kind of disagree with, because while Wade isn't like anywhere near the closest of my like favorite Sonic characters, especially in the movie universe, I still liked his story, and I liked that he kind of felt lost, and you know, he didn't have that father figure. He felt abandoned, and in a way, with his friendship with Knuckles and then reuniting with his family, he was kind of able to overcome his struggles, kind of find that closure that he needed. But yeah, I mean, it's not as entertaining as the Knuckles part.
Yeah.
There's a section early on where Sonic and Knuckles are talking that I really like also, where Knuckles isn't fitting in and Maddie's kind of like, all right, Sonic, you got to talk to him, because clearly he doesn't like listen to me. He doesn't really, I don't know. Sonic feels like he can relate more because he went through the same thing with the first movie. He wasn't able to really talk to anyone. I mean, the circumstances were completely different, but he wasn't able to have a family, kind of like how Knuckles wasn't able to here. And I don't know, it was kind of interesting that even though Sonic was having this like conversation with him, they didn't really like connect still. Knuckles kind of felt like he needed to talk to his ancestors, and he called upon the Echidna elders at one point to really like find guidance, because Sonic was like dancing around and like saying like, oh, you can just make TikToks or like, you know, play VR, and like it just wasn't meshing. So I thought it was kind of cool that they showed, despite these two having like separate ways of life and like still being friends, Sonic's advice wasn't really pertinent to Knuckles' situation. Any thoughts on their relationship in the first episode?
I thought they actually did pretty good here. It's a good little introduction to have established Knuckles' problem throughout the series of kind of feeling like he's not having a good place in this world, or at least hasn't found one yet. but it kind of feels at the same time like we're going a bit backwards from Sonic 2, where even if Knuckles was a bit awkward at the end when he was playing the baseball game and hanging out with the guys, who still like there's a sense of brothership, like brotherly bonding there, and like something they'd been having for a month or so, like if they were all hanging out in real time. But here it's like he's just completely separated from everyone else again, even if there is that past that they've had. And I don't know, I just kind of felt a bit weird having to relearn that again through the series. But I think they had to kind of separate it more so for new audiences on Paramount Plus and people who weren't as familiar as the I cannot talk about it, I'm sorry. People who weren't as familiar with the movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, it did kind of feel like they kind of rehashed things in a way. I also think it's like when you're kind of there's like an excitement at first, right? When you make a new friend, you're excited to like share the things you like and be like a part of someone else's world and kind of like get to know them, talk about like video games or comics and stuff that you like. But after a while, I guess there's like maybe a seeping feeling of like doubt, or is this person really my friend? And I think maybe with I don't know this experience for like joining a new family, but maybe Knuckles is kind of feeling that like, do I really belong here? You know, he says that. And I think maybe that like honeymoon phase of like excitement is over for him at this point. So maybe that's why they're trying to rehash it this way. I think it works, but I do kind of see what you're saying where it's like, all right, we kind of went over this in Sonic 2. Why are we doing this again?
Yeah.
But this scene also really reminds me of Sonic Frontiers. There's a moment in Sonic Frontiers where Sonic and Knuckles are sitting down on the rock bed, and Sonic's kind of telling Knuckles like, "Hey, when this is all over, dude, you should like travel the world and like go see things." And Knuckles kind of like laughs and he's talking to Sonic, but he's also saying like, "I can't do that. Like, I have a duty to the Master Emerald." And it just shows that despite them being friends, they have totally different worldviews. And I really like that we got this in both movie format and game format. It's a cool conversation because Sonic's a free spirit. He's so different than Knuckles. Knuckles is all about duty, responsibility. And it's just, they can't relate in that same way. So I like that they have that brotherly bond that you were talking about, even if they can't necessarily see eye to eye in every aspect of life. Surya Dragon says, was that bounty hunter a nod to Fang the Hunter? I haven't really thought about that. Oh, his name's escaping me. Actually have an image of it, so maybe it says his name. Jack Sinclair. I don't know if it was necessarily a reference to Fang. That would be kind of interesting to see what their minds were going into this and doing this whole bounty hunter arc story. But I don't think it necessarily was. I think it could have been a reference to like, I think there's a famous bounty hunter called like Dog the Bounty Hunter or something like that. This whole plot though, that like opens up with the first episode, we see that Wade is bowling, and we learn later on, of course, that's because his father was a bowling legend. This thing took me completely out on my first viewing. Like, his teammate Jack Sinclair hands Wade this card, and this card starts like talking to him. I don't know if you remember the Sonic Boy. Dude, that weirded me out. It's like, I don't know. I guess it set up my expectations for the show going forward too, where it's like, okay, maybe this is going to be like a little weirder than I was hoping for or expecting. I guess it also made me think of Sonic 2 when they enter that like tavern and the fish head like rolls, or it's on a plate. I don't remember for sure, but it like tells them to run. Do you remember that when like the old lady's like knitting like a skull like thing out of yarn, and it's kind of just like a really weird moment where it's like nothing else like that happens in the second movie. It just gave me that same weird feeling where I'm like, maybe some people like that type of comedy or something. I just thought it was weird, and it kind of set the bar for me.
Yeah. I remember when they first released the episode back on YouTube all the way back in 2024. I remember this episode. I was like, really? Like, is this what we're doing? And then this time around, it just kind of made me mad. Like, I don't know what it was. Something that was like, dude, come on. Like, really? Like, I knew going in that the show is going to be a bit odd in certain instances, but that just seems like, really? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I don't like it at all. Like I said, the first time I watched it when the show was coming out, I was like, that is just bizarre. I don't know why they do this sometimes. Like I said, they did the moment like that in the second Sonic movie. We have more people joining in. Phantom Child says hello. Beta Waffle says hi. What is up, everybody? Welcome into Sonic Saturday. But yeah, I'm maybe not mad, but I'm just like, why? Why the weird bounty hunter card talking to us? It just takes me out of the moment because I want to like be immersed in this world, you know? And that just broke all immersion for me. Like I said, it does set the stage because this show gets weird. I think it's episode 4 specifically that gets really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. And of course, like I said, we get the scene where Knuckles' ancestor, Chief Pachacamac, comes down from the skies, played by the great Christopher Lloyd. I thought that was kind of awesome casting. I didn't know if it would work, but kind of does. I mean, Pachacamac's barely in it. He's kind of goofy in it too. Not really the serious kind of warmonger that you would think he would be, especially since we learn in this movie that he was killed by the owls in a battle alongside, well, maybe not alongside Knuckles, but that whole backstory, when we get into it, it's weird. There's some lore possible inconsistencies there.
Yeah.
Now that I was thinking about it. What did you think of Chief Pachacamac in this show?
Well, to start, Patrick Kamag really doesn't have a character outside of anything else. Like Sonic Adventure, we literally just had him in like 1 or 2 cutscenes. It's like, and then he died. And then in what was it? There was like a flashback or something. I think it was Frontiers, maybe not. But I remember he was in that too, and like just as a frame, he wasn't like talking or anything. So
yeah,
it's cool if they wanted to do whatever they really wanted to do with this character. And Christopher Lloyd, don't get me wrong, love the man, but he could have gone to any other character, like Gerald Robotnik, like any other character, like Professor Pickle, if they really wanted to do that. That would have been cool. But like Patrick Kamak of all characters, like come on, bro. But he still did a really good job. I loved him as the character. I'm just a bit annoyed that they didn't make him Jim Carrey. Didn't make him Jim Carrey. They didn't make him Gerald Robotnik.
Yeah, that was actually my first guess when the casting came out. I was like, whoa, we're getting Gerald Robotnik, especially since this was leading up to the 3rd Sonic movie. I'm like, this is it. This is our Gerald Robotnik. It just made so much sense, especially since he's Doc Brown, obviously, from the Back to the Future franchise. And I was really excited for that. And obviously, he's Pachacamac. It's weird. Like you said, I think he could have been a great Gerald Robotnik, but they wanted to do the double Jim Carrey thing, which, whatever. I thought there were some great scenes with that. He's fine though. I think I like getting these legendary actors for Sonic. It's kind of silly, but yeah, nothing too special with Pachacamac. Like you said, he doesn't have a whole lot of characterization, but he is known to be like a warmonger, and they made him almost like really silly in this, which, like I said, it doesn't really check out later because he's like trying to be wise and talking about like, you know, a warrior, like a true warrior has like a strong heart and their strength comes from within. And then it's like, okay, but you were going to war with the owls and stuff. It's weird. So we'll talk about that later. We also get more with Gun, which, how do you feel about this? Because this is something that I wish they expanded upon. I think these characters overall were underutilized and should have been more prevalent throughout the series. I think they aren't in episodes 3 through 4, so just 2 episodes, but in a 6 episode series, it's like they're kind of the main villains, so they're missing for a third of our show. What do you think about them?
If it were up to me, these guys wouldn't even be in the show at all. I did not like
Ooh.
them at all. Like, I just thought they were boring, nothing characters. Like, they had their moments, right? Here and there. They looked intimidating at points, you know, but like overall, I just wasn't feeling it. In fact, as far as I can remember, the way I found out the woman's name was through the closed captions. I legitimately don't know these characters' names at all. In fact, I think the only name given to any of these gun agents is the one that's pushed through the portal in this scene that you can see that's closest to it. So
I do think they say her name because it's Willoughby, right? Agent Willoughby or something like that. But they don't say it a lot. So like, I don't even know the guy's name that gets pushed through the portal. And then the other one, I just call him Kid Cudi because it's Kid Cudi. But
yeah,
Agent Kid Cudi.
was that distracting you too? Like, I felt
Yeah.
it was so distracting.
Yeah, it was, especially because, like, you know, he got to do the end credit scene for Sonic 2. So the whole time you're just like, oh, that's just Kid Cudi, you know. But I think it's funny. Sonic producer here, like you said, he liked the Kid Cudi casting, and he's a big fan of Sonic. He's been pretty vocal about that. I think that's why he did the end credit song in the second movie. So, I mean, it's kind of cool, a little bit distracting, definitely, if you're trying to have that immersion, like I was saying earlier. Like, I literally just think of him as Agent Kid Cudi in this show. So I definitely agree with that. But I'm interested to hear, like, why do you think that they're such, like, nothing characters? And you wouldn't if you even had them, because personally, I actually liked them. So this is a fun topic, I guess, to get into.
Well, you know, like I said earlier, the one thing this show does well is that's charming. And that's what these characters are. But we don't really learn their motivations until actually we don't learn the guy's motivation. We learn the woman. I still cannot remember her name, even though you literally just said it.
I think it's Willoughby, but I could be wrong.
Willoughby. Okay, we'll just go with that. Willoughby. We don't learn her motivation until like episode 5 or something like that. And even then it's like going on and on about what it is, and then kind of just it actually gives some cool context there, I will say, because she's the one who gave him the Olive Garden card. She's the one who set up the wedding. Like, that's kind of cool. But other than that, like, just because she was on an extraterrestrial aliens unit of gun, like, that's, you're mad that they kicked you out because you're like, maybe this isn't good. Like, that's why you want to get this guy's power for some random dude. Like, really? Like, and these guys are somehow still connected to gut. Keep in mind, this is a government agency. So they are most likely keeping track of all the stuff they're saying to everyone else, because especially this is high level stuff. So, like, I feel like they would have gotten either one, kicked out a long time ago, or two, Gunn should have had more presence there to stop them once everything was said and done. I feel like I shouldn't say that they shouldn't have ever been in there, because that's what the writers wanted to do, obviously. But I just wish they did so much more, like expand their characterizations, make them, I shouldn't say, what's the term? I don't remember, but likable. They were likable, because that's, I'm searching for a different term, but I think you know what I mean now. Anyway, I just wish they did a lot more, like, because they were in what, like you said, like 4 episodes, and they only had a combined total of like 30 minutes or so of screen time across the entire thing. I just wish they were a whole lot more prevalent and they got a lot more development as characters, because as of right here, they just seem like villains, and up until episode 5, that's all they seem like.
I absolutely agree. That's my big issue with them being gone from 2 episodes, is they didn't feel like a constant threat. And I guess that's kind of why I hate the little bounty hunter like side arc that we have going on, where it's like episode 3, I think, where the bounty hunters come into the Whipple house and attack them. That should have been the ex-gun agents. That should have been another encounter with them. Maybe Wade's entire family has to go on the run. Something else. I thought the whole bounty hunter thing was like kind of just completely like thrown at the wall. Like, oh, this might be a fun idea to have these like random guys come in and attack them, especially since Wade's friend was a bounty hunter. I don't know. I didn't like that at all. I like the added backstory. You know, you're saying that it does come much too late that we learn about Willoughby's past and how she knew about these aliens and whatnot because she was working on the extraterrestrial gun team. Yeah, that should have come way sooner. We needed to know like why these guys were bad right away. We didn't really get that. I like that they were so conniving though. Like they stabbed this guy in the back right away. He comes in and he's like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, and they just like toss him in there so that they can be the only ones who track Knuckles. I thought that was kind of cool, and it shows that like a lot of these people in Gun are kind of ruthless, especially when we get to the buyer, which we'll talk about here in a second. He's ex-Gun too. So Sonic Boy looks confused.
Who's the buyer?
This guy.
They didn't even name the main villain. Oh my goodness.
They do call him the buyer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he is another name though.
Do they call him that in the show?
They do call him that in the show, yes.
Okay, because I remember like a poster or something like that having the buyer, and then just like them never mention. I remember that being a criticism, being like, we never actually get to know who this guy is. Like, really? Like,
yeah,
that's weird. I could have sworn they just didn't say anything about him. He was just there. That's cool. Okay, I'm glad they at least mentioned something about his name or an alias or anything like that, because it was like, oh my goodness, really? You're not even gonna give him like a stupid nickname or something like that? Good, they mentioned him. They mentioned the buyer.
I think they only say it like once though. I think they only say it like once, like, oh, like the buyer's not gonna be happy, like that we didn't capture Knuckles or something. Let's see. Someone said, by the way, nice intro, Sonic Boy. If you guys haven't seen that reminds me, go to Sonic Boy's channel. He has a new intro, a new little trailer channel trailer. There we go. I can't talk today either. So really cool stuff. Sonic Lol says, Sonic Boy, I have a question for you. Why would I was wondering why Shadow was having flashbacks? All right, you have to put the question in chat so Sonic Boy can see.
Yeah.
Sonic Producer says, bro, this guy's deformed Eggman.
True.
I think he's talking about what, the buyer?
Yeah.
Deformed Eggman. Dude, he's like jacked Eggman though. I mean, like he's got a bit more muscles than Eggman does.
I mean, technically that'd be a deformed Eggman.
Yeah, I guess so. What did you think about the buyer? Because I kind of liked his character, but the problem with the other gun agents, we don't get enough of him. And I think that's a huge issue because his character had so much potential to be possibly the best original character for the Sonic movie universe, I think. The way they set him up, where he worked under Robotnik, he was part of Gun when it was just like beginning and it was like a shadow ops kind of program. He clearly knows his way around robotics. He's like reverse engineering Robotnik's technology. He's gone around the globe and collected Knuckles' quills. So there's so much cool, like mysterious stuff surrounding him, and they don't really expand upon it. And he kind of becomes a useless villain, at least in my opinion, towards the end of this. What do you think?
I will say he is very intimidating. Like how he talks, how he presents himself. I did like that very much. But like you were saying, he's just kind of whatever, you know? Like in terms of actual substance, like he doesn't really have much backstory besides a estranged Eggman lackey, which is actually, like you said, cool concept. I would have loved, because that's what the gun agents were too, I believe, is that they were kind of a part of that as well. But here, he should have been like way more scornful towards Eggman instead of directing his attention towards the Sonic characters. Like, I don't know. And also, again, main villain, he was in the thing for like 7 minutes at most. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I think they should have maybe cut out like 2 episodes, made this shorter, but like, I don't know, really focused in on something. They want to do like little musical productions. They want to have it be about family, but they also want it to be about Wade finding his inner warrior. but then they also want to throw in cool elements with like gun agents and Robotnik lackeys, and it kind of just doesn't mesh the way I think they hoped it would. So cutting out some of the extra fluff in the show, cutting out some of the less important arcs, or maybe tune down maybe the family element or either the warrior element, one of them, and just focus it a bit more. I think you give more time to different characters, like the buyer, make him more intimidating, more prevalent throughout, make Knuckles a more prevalent character throughout his own show. And I think you solve a lot of problems that people initially had. But I really like his character, and I wanted to see more of him. Like you said, he's intimidating. He's a huge guy. I don't know if you know this, Sanic Boy, but he's in Game of Thrones, and he's a huge character in Game of Thrones, both physically and like in terms of story. But he's a really intimidating character in that show as well. Like, people are scared of him. So I thought it was great casting to have him play a villain, like a major villain. But once again, kind of like you said with Christopher Lloyd, it's like you just kind of squandered the character and the casting. And, you know, the more we look at this, it's like, yeah, I can kind of see the problems people have with it. Like, personally, I still do enjoy the show. I don't think it's anywhere near perfect, but they threw in so much that it ended up being nothing to a lot of people, I think, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Something I did like was there was a lot of callbacks to the first Sonic movie, and it felt like Knuckles in a way was having his own first Sonic movie moments. Like, a lot of these car scenes with Knuckles and Wade like hanging out and just talking reminded me kind of the road trip that Sonic and Tom had in the first movie. There's also a moment at the end, we'll talk more on it later, but Knuckles is like down on the ground defeated, and Wade is like kind of like defending him and basically saying that they're friends and like he learned from him. And it was almost like a one-to-one. I didn't catch it the first time I watched it, but it's like a one-to-one of the first Sonic movie when, you know, Sonic's defeated on the ground and Tom goes in front of him and he's like, Sonic's my friend. And then Sonic gets up, he's powered up, has the chaos energy coming in all around him. Same thing happens in this one, and you get the meme, the flames of disaster. So I thought there was kind of like a cool synergy that they had going with the first movie and making it like a Knuckles movie in a way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Did you also notice how much dialogue from Knuckles that they took from Sonic 2 as well?
I didn't. You'll have to tell me, because I didn't catch that.
It was some of the early stuff too. It's like unskilled, untrained, unworthy, or like
oh yeah,
some of the early Knuckles dialogue was sprinkled throughout the entire show. And I just found that really cool that I could just pick those little things. That was one of the best parts, is seeing all the little things you can extract.
Yeah, I like that. It's kind of corny, but it was so corny that it was funny. Like, when they're fighting in the bowling alley and Kid Cudi goes to like punch Knuckles and he's like, you think I need your power? Which is like, that was a line from Sonic 2, right? Like, right at the beginning. I thought that was kind of funny. A little stupid, but like that, I don't know. It made me chuckle. So speaking of the bowling alley, they go there and we get Wade Whipple backstory, why he is the way he is, and it's because he was abandoned in, what was it, like a Kohl's or something?
TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx, yeah. So it's kind of sad, but they also play it off like it's humorous. Like, this dude got abandoned as a child, and they're like making the joke of it. But it did work in making me feel a little bit bad for Wade. You know, he's kind of like, I don't know, he's just a messed up guy, and he has a lot to learn in this show. And he does learn a lot, which is cool, but the problem here is this should have been a show where Knuckles grows as a character. And while he does a little bit, all the major growth happens with Wade's character, and people were not expecting that, especially since it's called The Knuckles Show. and I don't think it's something that people really wanted to watch.
Hence why it's always referred to as the Wade Show when people are joking about it. And I think I actually did appreciate what they tried to do with Wade's story. In fact, if they had, dare I say, competent writers working on that to develop it fully, I think that actually could have been really good, especially for a children's property. I think that could have been very compelling. But like you said, should have been Knuckles' development. And while they could have had Wade off to the side, I don't think Knuckles got nearly as much as he should have. Although it was nice to see that Knuckles like really took in Wade's story. I thought that was a nice little detail.
Yeah, I like that too. It felt like Knuckles was really good at listening to people. Like Wade, he really cared about his friend. And then even when he's talking to Wade's mother later on, he's really listening to her. Like he doesn't ignore people. He wants to hear about them and learn about them. So I thought that was a cool little character thing for Knuckles where it's like he's not very talkative, but he does listen and care about his friends. But yeah, I don't know, man. Wade's a fun character, but putting so much focus and so much emphasis on his growth, I don't think really worked too well. We get a fun fight in the bowling alley though in episode 1. Did you like it or did you not like it?
I like the fight. This show, another thing it does well is the choreography of some of their fights. It's actually like, and we'll get to one later in episode 3 or 4, but they do really good. Like they use the bowling alley setting pretty well with like the dynamic lighting. You know what they can do in terms of moving around the area. I thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I thought the fight looked good, and like you said, the choreography was really good. I like how the villains were able to use the Buyer's technology, which implements Knuckles his quills to power them up. Because I guess one of the questions going into this show is how are you going to have like fun action sequences when our protagonist Knuckles is so powerful? Like he's the strongest of the main 3, so they had to find a way to allow the villains to compete with him. And I think they did a good job by giving them like tech that utilizes Knuckles' own chaos energy or whatever it is in the movie universe to go toe to toe with them. I liked how not only did they have like a mecha fist, but they also had like laser pistols and stuff. I thought that was fun. And I guess we'll get into episode 2 now. Of course, episode 1 ends with Knuckles getting captured. And I think episode 2 had probably the funniest moments for me. Like in this scene here, Knuckles is laughing about how he's picturing defeating them and like breaking free. And he's like, I don't know, every Knuckles scene just cracked me up. And it's just a shame that there's far and few of them. But I think Idris Elba kills it as Knuckles. And yeah.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. The best moments of the show are with Knuckles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was actually really funny. Really interesting how they were able to capture him so quick. I know I'm kind of going back to episode 1, but it kind of felt like they kind of got him a bit too easy, like just literally sliding a ring under. But I guess that's Knuckles' more brashness, less spatial awareness. But yeah, it was really funny to listen to him like describing how he's gonna kill them when he gets out. I thought that was really funny, and how Cuddy wanted to like talk to him and like monologue, but she Willoughby was like, no, don't do that, you just go take care of whatever's going on. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I just love the Knuckles scenes. I don't know if it is necessarily a budget issue that it's like, you know, having the CGI character on screen for so long would just be too much for their budget. I'm guessing that's maybe the issue. And if that is the case, then perhaps it's best to not do any more Sonic shows, because I don't think people want a Tom show. I don't think people want a Maddie show. We know people don't want a Wade show. So, I mean, that's possibly a harsh reality of like Sonic live action television until possibly the future where it becomes easier and more affordable. But Yeah, the Knuckles stuff is great. It's just too far in between. I also thought the Wade scenes here were kind of funny. Like him imagining how he's going to spring Knuckles free was pretty hilarious. He had this whole like secret agent kind of idea in his head, and of course, it does not go like that at all. Which I don't know. I like that. Um, of course, we also see that Wade is a huge like movie fan, so he has posters all in his room that we see later in like episode 3. I think we see his cop training is him watching like I think it's Bad Boys or something with Will Smith and I think Martin Short. So he's clearly a huge movie fanatic, and he lets those ideas get to his head. So we get to learn a little bit more of his character through that. But yeah, I just thought it was goofy. It's that kind of humor hit for me, where a lot of the other humor in this show really fell flat for me.
Yeah, this I think. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine.
I think that it was one of my favorite parts of the episode. Him going through and describing to himself how he's gonna do all of it. With like, one of the funnier things was like the demo floss was the thing bringing him down. That was funny, but then they bring it all together at the very end once the vision stops, and then it's literally just him holding the fireworks and all the materials, just like hugging them. Like that was the funniest part.
Yeah, I like that. Sonic LOL says, Sonic Boy, why does Shadow have flashbacks of Maria?
It's a trauma, probably. It's one of those things where like he just gets off to thinking, and then just the whole thing of, oh man, darn it, I'm thinking of Maria again. I think it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Surya Dragon says, Sonic franchise's biggest problem is the writing for the story at times, and especially the characters. I agree. And, it's such a big franchise with a very big and very vocal fan base. So some people are going to like some things and other people aren't going to like the way a character's written. I know tons of people do not like Ian Flynn's writing for characters. Other people really love it and say it saved the series. So there's always give and take, right? You can't please everyone. I don't really know, but I mean, it's always going to be an issue, right? Writing is never going to connect with everyone necessarily, which is fine. But yeah, I think the Knuckles show really had some weak writing in it, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
Christopher says, I don't hate this show, but it needed just a bit more Knuckles and a little less Wade. And yeah, that's the common consensus. And I think I've never seen anyone disagree with that. Like, I don't think there's anyone out there that would disagree. And I don't hate Wade's character. Like, I think he's kind of funny, kind of goofy. He works for a show like this, but it's just too much at times. And here we have Wade with the robotic fists and ready to save Knuckles. Of course, it doesn't go as planned, but it does end up working. And Wade kind of does work perfectly for like that character where I don't know, like disaster strikes and somehow he just walks away unscathed, and like his plan doesn't go according to plan, but he ends up getting to the end goal somehow. So he wanted to free Knuckles. It didn't work out the way he thought it would, but it still happened. And I think they could have done more goofy stuff like that throughout, but this scene I think really was fun with him like fighting, and the agent's like getting a call from his mom, and Wade's like, oh hi, and he's like, oh, what's your name? And then like he's talking, acting like they're all buddy. Some of that was pretty funny to me. And then of course the iconic ET shot with Wade riding Knuckles. Sonic Boy, your first time maybe seeing it, you possibly saw images or something beforehand. What did you think?
I gotta say, some of those shots with Wade riding on Knuckles looked a bit strange, but that was actually pretty funny. They actually referenced the classic games when there was like he can only glide short distances, and then he went into the ball. I liked that. That was fun. Yeah. And it was actually a good little nod to the games. I thought that was really cool. Even though I know it's like his muscles like really dense or something like that, but I'm surprised he was able to like stay in the air with weight on him as long as he was. That was a bit. I shouldn't say immersion breaking because this is a series about talking blue hedgehogs, but I thought that was a bit odd.
Yeah, definitely odd. I liked it. I liked the scene though. Seeing Knuckles glide was cool because, I mean, we get to see him kind of do it in Sonic 3, but this was the first time that we actually got to see him do it, so it was kind of shocking that they actually included it. It was fun, in my opinion, at least. This stuff, this show actually has some really cool things that they incorporated into the third movie without this being a must watch, because that's something that people always have an issue with. It's like, don't make me do homework to go see a movie, right? So in the third movie, we know that Knuckles uses the Flames of Disaster, and also that Wade is watching the Master Emerald, and it all ties back into this show. It's little moments in the movie that you don't need to see this show for necessarily, but if you did watch this show, you like get the added context as to why Wade is not watching the Master Emerald and why Knuckles has the Flames of Disaster. So I think that's kind of cool. And he does glide, right, in the third one, like after he catches Sonic and Tails, or am I just imagining things?
I'm
You
not
know what I'm
quite.
talking about, when they're like falling from the Eclipse cannon and then he like grabs them. Maybe he doesn't glide.
I'm not sure.
But either way, I think they did some cool things with it. See
Yeah.
what chat's saying. Christopher says, do you think a show animated like the Drone Home short could work as a way to have a show, but with the Sonic characters more? Maybe, because that was cheaper. I think the CG wasn't like very up to snuff, I would say. I don't know if I'd necessarily want a whole show with that style, but it could be something that they explore. They might be finding ways to make it easier to do it and cheaper to do it. Who knows? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would work well as like what they did with Drone Home, like little animated shorts here and there. That'd be pretty cool.
It says the humans could be animated too. Sonic LOL says, if the next game does well, it will encourage Sega to let the Sonic team take more time with the games. Yeah, I mean, I think we've already seen that with Frontiers. Like, Frontiers did really well, and they've been taking a pretty long time with this one, so.
Yeah.
Surya Dragon says, why do you think they needed to have so much focus on the humans instead of the Sonic characters? And I think it's just budgetary reasons. They don't want to animate Knuckles for, I think the total runtime for this comes out to like 2.5 hours or somewhere around there. It's like 30-minute episodes, 6 episodes, maybe around like 2.5 to 3 hours or something like that. I think one of the episodes is like 20 minutes, so it's really short, but probably just to save money is my guess. So any other thoughts on episode 2 before we switch over to episode 3?
I'm trying to think. Maybe I'm not sure. No, that is where it starts. There's an issue that we might mention a bit later, but you really start to notice it here. The licensed music and
Oh
the
my
product
gosh.
placement.
Yeah.
It was.
We didn't even talk about that. Yeah.
But yeah,
The music.
We'll talk about that way later if we want to, like a bit later.
If you want to talk about the music now, because you'll have to tell me about. Well, yeah, let's just talk about it now, because now you got it into my head. We haven't even talked about how much they use like licensed music throughout this. It really is like they wanted to show it off for some reason, and some scenes I think it works and it's like really fun. Other scenes, it's like, okay, why are we using this much licensed music? It becomes a little bit distracting.
Yeah. As far as I can remember, it was like every 5 to 10 minutes or so, they would use a new track. And like, it was always a case of, okay, am I going to recognize this one or not? And if I didn't, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But I was like, if I did, I'm like, just sitting there, like, we could have gotten like Sonic music again. I don't think Junkie XL was working on this project, but it was still very clear that there need to be some Sonic music in there, and it was like so annoying whenever it's like, okay, this would be a really cool time. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that they don't incorporate any Sonic music. They use like I Need a Hero when Wade's imagining saving Knuckles, and I thought that was kind of fun. They use the Warrior theme. I don't know what that song's called. At the beginning when Knuckles is training, which is a really cool intro, like seeing Knuckles running on the mountains of Green Hill, Montana, or whatever. But other songs just didn't really hit for me. And yeah, I don't know. I do wish that they used some Sonic music because this is the Sonic IP that you're using, so maybe have a little fun with it. But yeah, so Chris says the Warrior, it's just a Warrior. But I didn't even really care for that for the theme. It's not a song that I'm very fond of. I like a lot of older 80s music and stuff, but I just don't care for that one. It fits for Knuckles though, so.
Yeah.
So episode 3 is really where I think things start to fall apart. On my rewatch, even more so, I was dreading getting to Wade's sister. I cannot stand the character. She has some redeeming qualities later on, I guess. Maybe a little bit, slightly, not really. I can't stand her. Like, this is a character they could have, I really think they should have cut from the show. I like seeing the family dynamic for Wade because, like, this is his family. These are the people who never abandoned him. And he comes to realize that later, which I think is a fun and cool, like, full circle moment, because this whole time he's stuck up on his dad. Like, he wants to be like his father, but his father left him. He's a bad person. These are the people who care about him, even if he doesn't always get along with his sister. However, with that being said, the sister is written so egregiously annoying that it's just like almost unwatchable at times. It made me cringe. It made me question why I'm watching this show at moments. Surya Dragon says, "Oh, the sister." Christopher says, "Worst part of the show." I mean, I think that's kind of like a common feeling that this is like where things kind of start to really dip. You can kind of have fun with the first 2 episodes and Wade trying to save Knuckles, Knuckles battling in the bowling alley. There's some weird parts, sure, but this is where things really start to slow down, and not in a good way, because you don't care about the sister and they try to push this family dynamic on you. So what do you think, Sanic Boy?
When I first saw his sister, I knew what I was in for. When I continued to see his sister, I did not want to watch the show anymore. I will say she does an incredible job of making me hate her. She knew exactly what the actress knew exactly what her character was and how to play her. Incredible job. The writers should be ashamed of themselves for making such an awful character that I hated seeing on screen every single time that she showed up. Like, oh my goodness, we could talk about that for like an hour. Probably just go on about her.
Yeah, it's... I don't even know what to say. Like, how did they think this would be like a fun inclusion in the Knuckles show? We spend too much time in this house, by the way. Like, this should have been a fun, like, on the road adventure. Like, the first 2 episodes are. We see Knuckles and them in the car. We kind of get it in the last 2 episodes a little bit, and in episode 4. But, like, things slow down so much in this house. And you're learning about Wade. You're learning about his family. It's just a slog, especially if, I mean, let's be real. The Sonic movies are aimed at a younger audience. Kids aren't going to want to watch this. This isn't fun for kids to learn about Wade's family trauma. How he hated going to Shabbat dinner because he had a bad experience with his sister. So I don't know. There's fun moments in this episode towards the end, but man, I really don't know what they were doing. The Diggy Dog says hi.
That's good, man.
Christopher says, as someone with a younger brother and so many surrogate younger siblings, you can make an annoying sibling without making us hate them. I agree. I have 2 sisters myself, and we didn't always get along, but we didn't like want to pull our hair out dealing with each other. Like, you kind of watch this and you feel like you're Wade and you want to like get out of this house and away from this woman. She's so annoying. Here we have them at dinner, and I actually like Knuckles' interaction. Once again, Knuckles being the highlight. It needed to be more about him, but I liked how he was so willing to like learn about their traditions, and he was like, oh, I like your tiny hats, I like the food. I thought that was kind of fun. It's almost surreal though, seeing Knuckles sitting in like a living room. I don't know why. Like, for some reason, the first episode, it didn't take me out because we're so accustomed to seeing Sonic in his home with the Wachowskis. But I don't know, seeing Knuckles sitting down for dinner kind of was like, oh, okay, yeah. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So we also get Wade's room, which I'm guessing these are all Paramount films. I don't know if this is what you were also thinking about when you said product placement, but I think a lot of the stuff they show is like Paramount films. So we have a whole bunch of posters, which is fun, but once again, possible product placement here. And Knuckles talks about Pistol Pete Whipple with Wade. What do you think about this scene and Knuckles learning about his father who walked out on him?
I will say this scene was pretty okay to pretty good until the final part where he pulls out the or Knuckles finds, I shouldn't say Wade pulled it out, but Knuckles finds the cardboard cutout of the woman. That joke made me uncomfortable.
Literally, same.
Like, I found it funny, but like, this is a show, like you said, this is made for kids. Like, that's really weird. Like,
yeah. I'm glad you said it, because if you didn't, I was going to say that it made me uncomfortable. It is kind of funny, but with it being a show geared towards a younger audience, and one that, like, I can't remember if I was watching this with my mother or not, but I did watch it with my girlfriend the first time we watched it, and I was like, oh, this is like it's a little bit funny, but it's a little bit like, why are we including this? It's a little awkward, a little weird. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that ending, especially I don't ever like it when you're having a huge heart-to-heart moment and you're kind of like getting personal with a character, and it's something that should like really leave an impact on you. And then you end it with a joke or end it with something like kind of odd, I'm not a fan of that, because then it doesn't allow these character moments to settle. You don't think about it because you're thinking, oh, that was a little uncomfortable there at the end. It leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth, I guess. And that's a shame, because a lot of these deeper Wade moments really should have been hitting, but they kind of ruin almost all of them with like a joke or something like that at the end. And you're like, well, am I supposed to feel bad for this character, or am I supposed to be like laughing at how absurdly weird he is?
like, and it was so weird that they kind of like, they finished that joke and then they kind of went back to it when Knuckles said, continued the joke. And I was like, okay, guys, let's move on. Like, I and another thing too, like, how are kids supposed to know who that woman is? Like, she's from what, the 80s? So
yeah, I don't even know who she is. So Diggy Dog says he recognizes the TMNT bed. Yeah, there's some things I recognize, like Total Recall with Arnold in the back, and I've seen that. Rambo with Sylvester Stallone. You got Robin Hood. I haven't seen Wayne's World, but my girlfriend loves those movies. What do you think about Pistol Pete Whipple and the casting? I don't know if you're familiar with Cary Elwes. He's also a pretty big actor. He's in Robin Hood Men in Tights, which is a comedy movie. He's obviously probably most well known for The Princess Bride, where he's like the main character in that. see what else. He was recently in Stranger Things, so that's pretty big.
I knew I recognized him from somewhere, whether it was his voice or his face. I knew I'd seen him before. I thought it was pretty good casting. I remember my dad was in the room this morning when I was watching the episodes where he was mainly featured in, and I thought about turning over to him the entire time saying, I bet you'll never guess where he's from. Like, I thought that was funny. Like, you never really see that ever. Like, people being so like openly like, yes, I am this nationality, or yes, like, especially when it's turned into this comedy form. I thought that was actually pretty entertaining. But they said the accent was fake or something like that in the 5th or 6th episode, and I was like, okay, so is he really from the UK? Like, I don't know. I thought it was a good like little. He was a good conniving character. I thought he was really cool.
Yeah, I liked him too. My mom's a huge fan. She actually met him at a convention, so it was cool that he was a part of it because she loves Princess Bride and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought he was a great conniving character. I think he actually played the role really well, where he was clearly manipulating and using Wade in like a very evil way. So I thought he did a good job, and I kind of liked that they just, Wade is such a innocent character in a way that I at least felt bad for him, and you could tell that he wanted to have that father figure to look up to, but this was not the right person. And I'm glad that later on he found friendship in Knuckles, and found that his family was the one that's always stuck by his side. So I think there's good messages in here, but the show's just too jumbled with what it wants to do, as we kind of said earlier. Vice Hala stopping in said, sorry about the comment on the video, forgot you made a video about it. Don't worry about it, dude. I've made a ton of videos. I don't expect anyone to ever always watch all of them. Surya Dragon says, were they trying to give Knuckles a family with Wade in the same way Sonic is with Tom and Maddie? I don't think they were trying to do that with Wade's family, but I think they were just showing that, like, I don't even know. But I don't think that's their goal. What do you think, Sanic Boy?
I think they were trying to draw a parallel, but obviously Knuckles is with the guys. I don't think this is supposed to be like his main people that he goes to. It's just people off to the side that he could hang out with anytime he wanted to, stuff like that. I think it's just kind of background information for the movie universe for them to be there.
Yeah, and I think it was just a good way to show that like families are different, because this family is so different from the one that we're used to in the Sonic movies. So, and it also, like we kind of said, shows that Knuckles is really good at like listening to other people. He's not a talkative, like rambunctious character like Sonic is. He likes to listen and learn about the cultures and histories of other families. That's something that he's really into, because he lost so much of his history that he wants to connect with everyone else's. So he's like, all right, tell me about your room. Tell me about your dad. Tell me about these dinners that you used to do with your family. And I think it's Knuckles trying to kind of connect with these other families and see what they're all about, because he knows how important family is, seeing as he lost it all.
Yeah.
Diggy Dog. Yeah, that was a surreal moment. It was weird. Like I said, it's a little bit funny, but like, let's maybe not go that angle in a kid show.
Yeah.
A little weird, because it wasn't like, oh, adults are gonna only know about this and laugh. It's like, I don't know. It was a little too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Vice Hella says, my favorite thing is that they reference Archie in the show with the Jewish Knuckles parallel, which is amazing. I have no idea what that is. Sanic Boy's laughing, so you're gonna have to tell me, because I do not know what that reference is.
I caught on immediately as you were reading that out. In the Archie comics, Knuckles has his own spinoff comic that lasts about 32 issues or so. In this comic, the echidnas are... I have to be careful with my phrasing here. There is a Nazi...
Is there like a Jewish parallel?
there is a literal Nazi faction of the Echidna clan, and they do the salute, they do all that kind of stuff in the book. I'm not sure if like there's a specific portion of the population that's genocided or not, but they do very much so make that parallel of the Echidna clan being like the Jewish population.
That is crazy. Apparently, Diggy Dog knows about this as well.
Yeah.
That's news to me. Not the biggest Archie reader. I do plan on some point probably getting into more Archie. I know a lot of people like some of the later stories. I personally, whenever I see it, I've read a few issues. I do not like the art. Like most of the art just does not appeal to me. And then I see things about Ken Penders, and I'm like, man, do I really want to read these stories? But I know there's good in there because people do love them. So I plan one day on deep diving. I'll probably read all of it, even the bad stuff. But right now, there's so much coming out from IDW, Future Games, movies that like I think we're being fed pretty well on new stuff that I'm just gonna stick with the new stuff for now. Maybe when I have more free time, I'll go back. But Vice Hella says pre-reboot Archie Knuckles is the best Knuckles.
True.
I'm gonna have to look into it because, like I said, my favorite Knuckles is honestly movie Knuckles. I love movie Knuckles so much, but I've heard good things and bad things about Archie, but I'll look into it. I don't know. I feel like Idris Elba kills it as Knuckles, like even more so than the games. I don't know what it is. It's his delivery maybe, or how they animate him, but something about Knuckles cracks me up, and he really does give off that like intimidating warrior vibe. That was something my girlfriend was in when we were watching the first episode for my rewatch, and she was like laughing at how Maddie is the mom in the situation and Knuckles is a kid, but he has this deep intimidating voice and he's not listening to her. I was like, that is kind of funny. Christopher says, if we needed the buyer subplot and pistol, I feel like they should have been combined. It would have made the buyer more interesting. Yeah, and they do kind of mesh them at the end, which we'll touch more on later, I guess, because there's a bounty, so Pistol Pete kind of like betrays his family. There should have been a better way to maybe combine things. I think the whole bowling thing was weird too. I don't hate it, but it was certainly a choice.
Yeah, and like it's so weird, like because they definitely make it comedic for the sake of it being comedic, but like how many people can you genuinely say no that they know someone in their personal lives who professionally bowls? Like, do you ever really hear about that? Like, it's always a hobby. Like,
so that's the crazy part, and maybe that's why I like it a little bit. My girlfriend's sister is really good at bowling, like really good, and she's actually gone to Reno, Nevada to compete at a bowling tournament. So that was like crazy. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't know anything about this like actually being a thing or like care about like bowling. But I thought that was kind of cool that her sister had actually gone down and competed there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is such a very niche sport, and it's more like a hobby for most people, or like a fun event. You know, you'll have a party and go bowling with friends or whatever, but it does lead into the comedic aspect of it all.
Yeah,
which was clearly the vibe they were going for with the show. Here we have another image from episode 3, and this was one that I really liked. I don't know why, but I liked Knuckles' connection with Wade's mom so much. I thought it was kind of wholesome. Maybe it's Knuckles missing his parents, but he really cared about her. He was talking to her. The kids were fighting, obviously, and didn't really care too much about their mom, which was kind of sad. And of course, things come full circle and the family reunites at the end. But I like that Knuckles was there for her and listened when her children weren't, especially because she cares so much about her kids in this. She said it's like she knew it down to the day. She was like, it's been like 3,000 or so days since I've seen you, Wade. And he really didn't care that much. So what did you think about this pairing?
Well, before I mention my thoughts on this specifically, you mentioned something about the kids fighting. I'm probably not going to get the chance to mention it again because we've already kind of moved past it. But another thing I found to just be like make me not want to watch the show is when Wanda, I believe is the sister's name,
Yep.
sticks a fork in
I hated that.
Wade's
Yeah.
arm. Like I was just like, really? Like that was one of those things. Like both of those two things in this episode just like really made me feel like is this a kid show? Like is this really what they want to be showing to kids? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was something that I really hated on my first watch, and I hated it even more on my second watch. It's weird. And then she like doesn't even really get reprimanded for for it. And I kind of hate that. Like I get that's the characters. They're trying to make them silly and goofy. But I hate that we have full-grown adults acting like children. I don't know why, but I've never really liked that. Like they're like the door, and I'm like, like you guys are what 30, 40 something years old and we're acting like this. And I get it's television, they want these characters to be goofy. We know that Wade is a silly character. He's been that way since the first Sonic movie. I just think it's a bit much at times. Yeah, the fork thing was disgusting. I hated that. I probably moved past that because I blocked it out of my mind. I hate that scene.
Yeah, sorry to bring it up then.
No, you bring it up. Anything you want to talk about. So Vice Hella says start with 160, then go back. So yeah, I might have to look into like a good reading order for Archie comics at some point. Surya Dragon says Archie has amazing stories, but yeah, terrible art style.
It's very inconsistent. Like there's some panels are like you could frame it on your wall, it'd look great. But then there are some panels where it's like, how did this get through the editorial process? Right? It's just so weird.
Yeah. And some of the art I've seen does look good, but it's like a lot of it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
There's some weird stories. I'm pretty sure it's Archie because I covered it in a video. I was looking up like characters that have died in Archie. And there's one where like Charmy's friend, who's also a bee, like overdoses on like LSD honey. It's so weird. And some of these stories, when I was reading them, I'm like, how do people get into this? Like it just feels weird, some of the stories, but yeah. I'll dig into it someday. Christopher says the best parts of Archie are others addressing Ken's unintentionally messed up writing. Gosh. So is there like a beef in the comics themselves where the writers are like writing different things, like almost like how Star Wars had that issue where Rian Johnson did some weird stuff with the middle movie of the sequel trilogy, and then J.J. Abrams went and kind of like didn't like how he wrote it, so he like wrote around it. Is there like that kind of issue in the comics?
No, because it went from Ken Penders, and then maybe Ian wrote like a side story here and there, and then Ken stops, Ian goes in. There isn't like any real big overlap, but Ken Penders on Twitter, he just rambles on and on and on about how they screwed him over in those comics and how he like hates Sega now, or he doesn't hate Sega, but like he just doesn't like them all that much, and it's just a big thing.
That's a shame that all that happened and went down the way it did, because I know people love Archie so much. Yeah, I'm sure Ken Penders even has some good stories in his run. So, yeah, that's a real shame. Looks like we do have a question for Sonic Boy. Have you read the Fleetway comics? And if so, what is the lore of the echidnas there?
This is something I'm not particularly versed in, is the Fleetway comics. I've heard so much about them, how they changed the Sonic story so much in their own direction, but like in fact, I can't even like really remember if there's ever been a significant Knuckles appearance in those books. Like I have no clue.
Yeah, I read a little bit of Fleetway also when I was doing that like comic talking about deaths, because Fleetway has some rather strange ones as well. Yeah, it just seems weird. I don't know if I could get into Fleetway. Like Archie, I believe I could get into. Fleetway, like Sonic is almost a completely different character. He seems like a jerk in those comics, like straight up jerk. So It's interesting. Christopher says a girl in middle school that he knew was a part of a major bowling team.
Ooh, that's cool.
Surya Dragon says the picture of Knuckles and Wade's mom's cute. Yeah, I like their relationship. I thought it was kind of cute.
All right, now to finally get back on topic with that.
Yeah. I feel like there should have been more connection about how Knuckles and Wade both feel abandoned by their fathers. I thought there was a good connection there, but it's not like Knuckles was necessarily abandoned. He just died. Which,
yeah, we'll talk about that with episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But anyway, to get back on track
yes.
here, I really love their dynamic. I thought it was great. It was almost like he was her son, or like they were really good friends. And in this moment specifically, there's one instance where Knuckles does a smile and he looks a lot like Boom Knuckles. Like that just immediately came to my mind. But that was cool. I like their dynamic. I like that Knuckles tried something else other than like a grape dessert. And he seemed really interested in the movie, which I didn't think he would be, but that was also cool as well.
Yeah, and like we were kind of saying earlier, he's so attentive, and I think that's a trait that I really like about movie Knuckles that maybe we don't see too much of in the game, is that like he pays attention. So it's so easy to like someone, or maybe I'm just bad at it. Sometimes someone wants to show you something and you're not interested in it at all, and this doesn't always happen, but like sometimes you're like, oh man, like I don't really care about this. That's just human nature sometimes. But I really like how like everything that Knuckles is having shared with him, whether it's movies, food, just stories, he finds a connection in it. And I thought it was really endearing and just showed like what a wholesome character he is. And, maybe they'll build more upon that in the future Sonic movies and show like what a good brother he is to Tails and Sonic, even if he doesn't quite fit in with them necessarily. So could be cool. We also get, as we've talked about a little bit, the fight in this episode, which there's some cool moments with this fight, and it does break up that like slowness that I think this episode had all throughout. It was way too slow for me. I'm not like a TikTok kid where it's like I need action every second. I know people made fun of the Mario movie for being a little too quick paced. I don't need things to be constantly quick paced, but I do need to care about the things that are happening in the slower moments. A lot of the slower moments in this episode, unfortunately, I did not care about. So I was kind of relieved when the bounty hunters showed up. I thought the action was fun, but like I said earlier too, I don't really care about the bounty hunters. They just felt a little bit random to me. Maybe if it was Wade's friend who we see come in the next episode to capture him, it could have been more interesting. But I really think this should have been maybe the ex-gun agents coming in here, fighting Knuckles, messing up the house, and the family unites, like stopping them, and maybe they have to go on the run or something. But I just don't like the idea of bounty hunters breaking into this house to come get them. I thought it was a bit bizarre, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing here too. I was like, wait, who are these guys? And then I remembered that earlier in the episode, the buyer had placed a $100,000 bounty on Wade's head. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But then these people still come out of nowhere, like they had no setup. Like they could have been like the previous members of the bowling team or the gun agents, like you said. And like with the bowling team, you could have set that up like this is the first attack, and then Jackson Sinclair is going to be the big thing of the next episode. That could have been cool. But these hunters do bring in some really good cinematography in the kitchen. That was one of my favorite scenes of the entire show, was them just circling around the kitchen, trying not to hit the candles. And that went on for like 30 seconds or so. It was so cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool shot, having like the camera rotate around the entire table. I really liked how they did that. It was a little bit noticeable to me this time that they either used a lot of CGI or a stunt double, or maybe a mixture of both for Wade's mother. Which makes sense because the actress is pretty old. But it was just like a little, like this time I really noticed it. The first time watching, I think I was just having fun with the scene because the music's going, they're fighting. But that shot overall still does really hold up well, I think. And it's just fun. It's something, a cool camera trick, I guess, that I wish they would have done more stuff with. Not necessarily always having the camera rotate like that, but they could have done maybe more experimental shots that could have been really fun, because that's something people always talk about, is that scene with the rotating camera. And maybe they'll get more experimental, but I liked it. I like that the family united at the end around the candles. It was something that the mom wanted, and I don't know, that part always makes me like a little bit emotional. I'm like, as my own mother gets older and stuff like that, she wants to spend time with her kids. I kind of just relate to that, and I don't know. I like the family dynamic that Wade and Knuckles kind of have there with the mother and the sister, even though the sister is, a bit annoying. So let's see. Vice Hella says the Knuckles show should have leaned on the Jewish parallel and made it a little darker. Maybe that's too political, but the Owl Tribe versus the Echidna Clan hasn't been explored all that well. Yeah, they really don't explore it all too well. They keep things rather vague, and then things get a little bit muddy too. We'll talk about that when we get to the next episode breakdown. But I something I've been wanting is more owl lore. They don't really tell us too much about the owls, even though in the movie universe they're set up as like this big important part of it. There's statues of them. They were the guardians of the Master Emeralds. They stopped the warmongering echidna in the past. We see that one animation that I love when the echidnas bring all the emeralds together to form the Master Emerald, and like they're like conquering the world, and the owls have to stop it. So I would love to see more of that in the future. I don't think necessarily this would have been a great fit to cram all that lore in and maybe make a parallel that's a little bit darker. But a movie, perhaps, exploring more of the owls would be kind of cool. Or maybe like a little short or something. I think that would be a great idea. Diggy Dog says the fight with Wade's mom and Knuckles was funny. I loved it. Yeah, it's fun. I like how she's like hitting them with the pans, and Knuckles is just like throwing fists as always. Diggy Dog also says, honestly, the idea with the bounty hunters in the Knuckles story sounds interesting. Like if this were in the games, having bounty hunters hunt Knuckles due to him being a rare species could be done well. Yeah, man, if he wasn't stuck in classic purgatory, someone else mentioned earlier, maybe it was you, about like a Fang parallel. That would be cool to have Fang like hunting Knuckles. We see it in the comics, actually, in the classic comics, so that would have been cool. There's also, he is hunted by those almost like bird looking guys in their like suits from Sonic 2 in the comics. We see that he was actually captured by them while he was traveling different worlds. So once again, I wish that we had more of the Sonic prequel comics, because those are pretty fun and give some extra insight to things. Surya Dragon says, how did the owls know about Earth? I don't remember if they ever said.
I think because they had a map and Earth was on there.
Okay.
So they'd probably been there previously, and especially Longclaw, because that's where she put the Master Emerald. Or I think that's where
you're right.
They put it there. So I think that's how they know. They just went searching around, and then they eventually found Earth, which is where they put the Master Emerald, which is interesting. I hope they bring the map back for the event film or Sonic Movie 4, because I have a feeling that's actually more important than just the Master Emerald. Why would you have more planets on there than just Earth if it was just a map for the Emerald? Like, I feel like those locations maybe have something there as well that we don't know about yet. That could be pretty cool.
Dude, you just made a video for yourself. You gotta do a theory video, man. That's actually like a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Trump Burger says, what's the most controversial show? It's obviously the Knuckles show.
The Knuckles show. Yeah.
Christopher says the conflicting reports of who was trying to wipe out who at least kind of works with war concepts. Yeah, I think that's interesting. That's not necessarily what my problem is. I'll touch on it when we get to episode 4, but there's something weird going on with how things are portrayed. But yeah, as we said, family being together at the end, I think it's a really wholesome moment. And it's a nice cap on an episode that overall I didn't really enjoy. I think they ended it strong. The action was good. The family moment actually did hit. The arguing, though, toss it out. It was a little too much. It was over the top. We don't need to see Wade get stabbed with a fork. If they toned down Wanda's character a little bit, I think maybe it works better. She's just too wound up or something. I don't know. Any other thoughts on episode 3, Sanic Boy, before we go to episode 4?
Nope, let's go to episode 4.
All right. Would you say that episode 3 was the weakest, or is there another episode that maybe you don't like more? Because for me, I think episode 3 might be bottom of the barrel. I like some of the family moments, like I said, but other than that, there's a lot that I do not like in this episode.
Everyone says it's episode 4. That's the lowest, but I would say episode 5.
5? Okay.
And we'll talk about that
later. Definitely. So episode 4 starts off and we see Wade get captured right off the bat. We get, once again, we were talking about this earlier, a lot of licensed music. We get a licensed song right away. Wade's kind of chilling. The house is destroyed, which I liked. He's like opening the fridge. The door falls off. It's kind of funny. He's just going about his morning like it's normal when things clearly aren't. But then he gets grabbed. And his friend Jack Sinclair abducts him, trying to cash in on the bounty. And Knuckles, Wanda, and I think the mother is there as well, and some neighbors, they just watch Wade get taken. I kind of didn't like that. Like, I get why they're doing it. Knuckles states right away that he needs to be able to, like, handle his own problems. And this is the episode where we're going to see Wade finally grow as a character. He's going to not just be a joke anymore. He's going to take himself seriously. He's going to grow as a warrior. This is what he needs. And I get that premise. Like, sometimes you got to get thrown into the deep end, right, to learn how to swim. It's kind of that, like, tough parenting that maybe you'd expect from a character like Knuckles. I still felt like Knuckles maybe should have tried to save him, or maybe not even been there or alert that Wade was taken. Because I feel like Knuckles, maybe this is just my own headcanon, I feel like Knuckles would have tried to save him. Because what if Wade never got free? What would have Knuckles done then? Would he finally have gone after his friend, or would he just be like, oh, he's got to learn at some point? So that bothered me a little bit, but not too much. I do understand what they were doing with it, and it works, but that's just my opinion. What do you think about this intro, Sanic Boy?
I have a little headcanon theory myself about why Knuckles is so chill about this. We know in the movies, Knuckles has a sort of super speed that's at least somewhat comparable to Sonic's. So maybe he found I was going to say Jackson Clare, but Jack Sinclair. He tracked him down. He's like, hey, can you do this for me real quick? Just so we can, like, progress Wade's character, but he wouldn't say that in universe. Anyway, and then Sinclair tracks down Wade. Then I think that would be kind of cool if Knuckles did that on purpose because he knew and then he tracked him down. But they don't really give much of an explanation as to why Knuckles just doesn't do it beyond he needs to learn, which is kind of stupid considering how much they've already been through in this show, and seeing Knuckles, especially seeing how kind of weak Wade is. So I feel like there'd be more of a sense of urgency and to try and find him and help him.
Yeah, I like your idea better, because I could see Knuckles like staging something where he's like, all right, you guys go attack Wade, and it's going to be more of like a test. This was like real life situation. Like, your friend actually could have been in serious trouble. So maybe that's why I didn't like it as much. I think it does make sense from the warrior aspect of Knuckles. Like, he would be that kind of person where it's like, if you're going to learn how to swim, like, you're going to learn how to swim, toss you out into the deep end. But I still feel like it would have worked a little bit better. Like you said, like, he's like, all right, here, you're going to like attack him. Wade's not going to know that it's not real, but I know it's not real. I think that works a little bit better in my opinion, but that's not how it is. We get Wade transcending into, what is it, like the great battleground in the sky, I think they call it.
Yeah.
And he meets Chief Pachacamac for the first time. I'm sure I'm butchering his name. I don't know, but this whole background too for him is like a reference to The Big Lebowski movie. I haven't seen. I heard it's great, but I don't know anything about it. Kind of weird. We get the whole musical number about to happen. What do you think about the setup of like Wade being knocked out and then he's just like in this battleground in the sky? Do you even think that Wade is really seeing this, or is this all in his head? Is this real or in his head?
I think
Because oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. You're about to add some context. Though.
No. You go ahead.
I thought it was real. Like, we've seen Patrick Mack. He went down to Knuckles, so like Knuckles knows he's there too, and like maybe he's like can see that Patrick Mack was going over that direction, or he had like that little intervention where he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go help your friend." And I'm like, "Okay," and then maybe it was something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like it probably is real. It's not discussed a lot, but I feel like it also could just be like this is the absurdity of Wade's mind, you know? But it most likely is a real thing. We get a whole musical number, and we get some like bizarre things like Puppet Knuckles' dad. So what did you think overall about the musical number for your like first time seeing this whole thing while watching the show?
You know, have you seen that meme where it's like potential man, and he's like all these different things, or it's like, oh, it could have been cool, you know? Have you seen that meme? Anyway, I might send it to you after the live.
You've got to.
Anyway, that's what this felt like. The entire show could have been this episode just stretched out and actually had good animation. Would have been great. And I don't know, it kind of feels like, and we'll get to it because you'll probably show the image of it, but we'll get to it. And they kind of just like, I don't know. I can see why with this scene, I can see why Sam Procrastinates was crying over this show. Like, oh my god, I'm just like sat there the entire time with like a blank stare on my face, just like, what are they doing? Like, I don't know. I just didn't like it all that much.
Yeah, and you said that this is like one of the episodes that's regarded as the worst, and I do think I remember hearing about that on my first watch. And I actually like this episode. Like, it's weird, and I agree with you that it would be so much better if this was just fully animated. We got to see Knuckles' adventure to get the Flames of Disaster and become a warrior. But I do kind of like the weirdness of it. I think I saw a comment earlier that someone said they liked the absurdity of this like musical number, and I did too. Now, I have this image pulled up for a reason, because we're to believe that all of this is what Knuckles has seen, right? So Wade is Knuckles right now, and he's watching his dad die. It's also said that they fought off the owls together, right? Like, there's a scene where the owls are like, all the people in costumes are flying in around them. I'm waving my arms. You guys can't see. I'm flying my arms like an owl. They're like circling around Knuckles and his dad, and they said that they like fought together against the owls. That completely conflicts with everything that we saw from Sonic 2, where Knuckles is left at home while the rest of the tribe goes out to fight the owls, and they never come back. That's what Knuckles says. He never saw them again. His last time seeing him was like his dad like touching his shoulder or hugging him or something, and they left for war. So how and why is this show interpreting it as Knuckles was fighting the owls and sees his dad's death, when the last time Knuckles said he saw his dad was him leaving? Unless I am completely misremembering Sonic 2, but I don't think I am.
No, that is exactly how it goes down in Sonic 2, is that his dad or whatever figure tells him to stay there, and then they go. They don't see him again.
Yeah, and he says that's the last time I saw my dad. So that's why I'm like, there's a big lore disconnect here if what I'm reading is accurate.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. So that's one thing I noticed this time around that was kind of like pulling me out. I'm like, okay, what is accurate and what isn't. I would tend to believe that Sonic 2 is probably the more accurate retelling of the story. But why even show like Knuckles and his dad fighting owls, Knuckles seeing his dad's death, if you're not going to do the homework yourself, and see that in Sonic 2, they said that the last time Knuckles saw his dad was when they left. So I just think it's kind of weird that they went back and like either changed things or didn't know the whole story, or I don't know who was making the calls for this one.
Yeah, it was weird.
Surya Dragon says, why does Knuckles' father look like Ned Flanders? That's a good question. I mean, yeah, so that big lore disconnect is probably my biggest issue with this. Because I like coherent lore. It gets me more engaged. It gets me a little bit more excited. When you have things like this, it sticks out in my mind. Maybe I'm just weird. I know not everyone cares about lore. That's fine. I like continuity. I like things to make sense and connect in ways. But yeah, that bothered me. Other than that, I really like this musical number. They have Michael Bolton singing, which is fun. We get another fun moment, which you were talking about references to the games earlier. I thought this was a pretty fun reference. Like, it's really on the nose with this one. It's not the subtle kind of reference that you mentioned earlier, Sonic Boy, but this one was fun. We also get the special stage like shown from Sonic 2, I believe, where they're like running through the like half pipe or whatever. So I thought this was kind of cool. What do you think about this, or did you not like this? Too on the nose for you?
No, in fact, I think they should have gone even further, but that's a separate point entirely. This was actually the best part of the musical, getting to see Angel. No, it's probably not Angel Island. It's probably the same island that Sonic and Longclaw were on, realistically. But yeah, that was actually really cool. Now that you say that the special stage was from Sonic 2, I was like, oh, shoot, it is from Sonic 2. Why didn't they use Blue Spheres? That would have lined up just a bit better, but I guess it's whatever. It's still special stage mention. But this was actually really fun. I did enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, I really like this. And of course, you're probably really waiting to talk about this. So we get Iblis in this backstory of Knuckles' adventure to get the Flames of Disaster, how he became the warrior that he is today. And we find out that Knuckles squared off with Iblis at some point. All right, so before I say anything, Sonic Boy, you gotta tell us your thoughts.
This, again, is the potential man thing. Again, I'll send that to you here pretty soon. But I cannot believe they did this. I know that they didn't really... Everyone's so afraid of adapting 06, I think, especially in the modern age, because of how bad that game was. But to see something like Iblis in a modern context, really cool. Hate that it had to be done with the stupid puppet thing. And another thing, this is where the product placement also gets bad too, because Iblis literally brings out a laptop and goes on about Facebook Marketplace for about 10 seconds. It was very just disappointing. The fact that Iblis talks to was a bit weird, but still, that
was a callback to sorry to interrupt. That was a callback to Jack Sinclair, who also mentioned Facebook Marketplace in the same episode, because that's where he got the cage to entrap Wade.
That's true. I totally
sorry to cut you off. I was just bringing it up, but yeah, another product placement. So they mentioned it twice, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I just see how much things can be forgotten with this show. Even if I watched this episode literally like a few hours ago. And no, it was just disappointing. Like I said, this entire musical thing should have been the show. That's what it should have been, but they didn't do that. But if they had to do it, they did it in the musical. Still didn't like it all that much. It was kind of anticlimactic. I just found like one punch, then actually, no, it wasn't even one punch. He was down, he had the Flames Disaster, then he took him down. Like, it was just kind of meh. And again, like I said, would have liked to have seen Knuckles actually do that against a real Iblis. They also, it's not like they need to explain it, but it's like, where does Iblis come from? The fact that Iblis exists, does that mean Mephiles exists? Does that mean Soliana, or at least some form of it, is real? Like, they just never explain it.
Yeah, it's like there's so much surface level lore that they're just scattering on here, but it's not enough. It's like you said it earlier, this would have been so much more interesting to dive into as its own show. Give us CG for it. Like, imagine how cool they could have made Iblis look if he wasn't just a puppet. I like the mention of him. I think it came out of left field. It shocked me. Like, I was not ready for them to even mention it. So I do like that they mentioned him, but I would have just liked to have seen Knuckles become a warrior. I don't necessarily need to see Wade become a warrior. Yeah, it's a shame. It's a real shame that we didn't actually get this journey itself. And it does create the questions, like you said. Is Mephiles running around in the Sonic cinematic universe? Is Soliana an actual place? The comics, the Sonic prequel, we actually get to see Knuckles going through different worlds. Is this a different world, or is this the one that Sonic came from? Was Iblis somehow there? We don't really know the answers to these questions. And it's a little bit annoying that we don't, right? Because this would have been fun stuff to explore. Why is Iblis treated as a joke puppet character that we don't really get to learn about, but yet we spend, I don't even know how many minutes, way too many, with Wanda Whipple, a character that is universally disliked. And it's just weird choices like that that I think are irritating for Sonic fans, where it's like, you have so much cool lore from the games and you're sprinkling it, but you're not really diving deeper with it. And I don't know, you could have really gotten people excited for something here if you fleshed things out more and better.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just like, you'll have to send me that potential man meme, man, because there's so much missed potential here. There really is.
Yeah. I'm on my way to do that right now, actually. But yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Christopher says, I love the musical number and the fact that Ken Penders tried to claim he owned the idea of Sonic having his dad. I do remember seeing something about that, leading everyone to clown on him. Yeah, I liked the musical number. I thought it was fun. You know, it wasn't something I was expecting, and I think it works in that humorous aspect, which they really dove into with this show. Yeah, the Ken Penders thing, man. He's really hung up on the idea that he owns so much, like, or he needs to be accredited for so much, but I don't know. He seems like a weird fella.
Yeah.
He also says, I think the chief probably got some details wrong. Digidog says, I think the contradiction in the Knuckles show compared to the films is that Sonic 2's backstory is the real story, while Knuckles show backstory is like a Wade version, or like what Wade thinks. Yeah, that's probably what the case is. It's weird because it's Pachacamac putting on this like display, so you would think that he's getting a lot of details right, and we're seeing more of Knuckles' story that Wade wouldn't even really know about. But I guess that's a good way to headcanon it, is that maybe Wade is putting in some weird inclusions of his own there. But Vice Hella says, contradictions in lore is only good when it improves the world or the characters. Yeah, and I don't think it improved anything in this show, so I would say it's a bad contradiction here, because it just left me confused. I'm like, I mean, I'm inclined to believe that Sonic 2 is the accurate depiction. Knuckles didn't see his family after they left. He didn't see his tribe after they left, meaning that he hasn't seen what happened to his dad. Surya Dragon says, showing Iblis will take away the main threat for Silver. Yeah, but I just don't even think they were even going to go that route with Silver if they bring him into the movies. What do you think, Sanic Boy?
Yeah, I think there's no way they actually would have done Iblis in any context outside of this. Like, I literally do not think there was any way they could have done him. And Silver, I think Silver has always, at least since movie 3, in the writers' heads, has been planned to be like after Amy because of the whole time travel stuff of 4. I think that's where they're going to go with it. Is Silver is going to be a result of whatever happens in Sonic 4. I don't think he's just going to be in the world naturally. So, yeah, I think Silver was never going to have his Iblis. I don't think he's ever going to have a Mephiles or anything like that either.
Yeah, I've always assumed kind of my theory is that Silver's going to either be some guy fighting in the future against whatever's going on in Sonic 4, if that does involve like an alternate future, or like you said, maybe a result of what happens in Sonic 4. So I think we'll see him in the next movie, but I never think that it was in the cards that we were going to see a Sonic '06 adaptation or anything. We kind of mentioned this, I think, in Sonic Saturday 2, that they just take these characters and they change them a bit for the movie universe. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think they've done a pretty good job though overall. So Silver will probably be decently different, I'm assuming, than what we see or what we're accustomed to. I mean, Shadow's backstory even was pretty different from what it was in the game comic canon. So I'm expecting they'll change it again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Digidog says, I think it's because they don't want this Knuckles series to be like any of the Marvel spin-offs where it's a requirement to watch these to understand the movies or something like it. And yeah, I kind of touched on that earlier where there's some cool things in Sonic 3 where you're like, oh, okay, that's why this is happening. And you'll know it from watching the Knuckles show. But if you don't watch the Knuckles show, it doesn't really impact you one way or another. Like it's so funny to me, at least, that Wade had the Master Emerald and he was just like playing hockey with it. And you're like, why does Wade have the Master Emerald? And it's because Knuckles trained him to be a warrior. So I think Knuckles even says like, I left it with the most fearsome, deadly warrior I know, or something like that. And it's a fun, like, little throwaway moment. Vice Hella says, I swear that the creatives on the Sonic movies only used Archie and Sonic X as a basis for their lore. Yeah, it seems like they took some stuff from that. Obviously, I don't know too much about Archie. I can definitely see some parallels, though, from things that I do know.
Yeah.
Surya Dragon wants to know, is Silver going to be from the future or another planet? I don't think we can really know at this point, too soon to say. My assumption is the future. But I mean, I guess he would be from another planet though, too, because they're all aliens in this universe. So
yeah,
that is my guess. Christopher says, until I see otherwise, I'm assuming that Iblis in this show is just the remains of Game Iblis who ended up in another timeline, and that's why he's so pathetic. There you go. That's a good headcanon for you. I mean, who knows? Maybe that fight between Knuckles and Iblis was really cool, and we just got the short and sweet version for their little play that they wanted to put on for Wade.
Yeah.
So this episode ends with Wade realizing that to be a true warrior, you need to find it in your heart, and he battles his old friend, the bounty hunter, takes his ponytail in like a little jousting kind of match that they have. It's really like a weird scene, but it's good character growth for Wade. What do you think about the ending to this episode?
This scene is what I like to call the big Idaho floating scene, because the entire time in the background there's this really obnoxious sign that says Idaho floating something or other, like 49 miles away, and it took me out of the entire thing. I don't know why, because that thing is like not significant whatsoever. No one calls attention to it. I think the only way that it's here is because earlier in the episode it was established that Jack was taking Wade through the Boise National Forest or something like that. So I think that's why that showed up. But like that's the only thing I think about when I go back to that scene. But in retrospect, it was funny to see Wade being like, I'm commandeering this bicycle, like that from the kid who wanted 10 grand for a bicycle. And then him cutting off the hair was also great too. I loved it.
Yeah.
It's just also earlier in the episode, Jack was trying to get the parents of the little girl to sing along, and that kind of like comes to a close here with the parents, cheering him on after that.
Yeah, they're like, "Get him, Wade."
Yeah.
So this is the last time I believe that we see Jack Sinclair. What do you think of the character overall? It's obviously a Sonic Cinematic Universe original character. What are your thoughts on?
Like all the other new characters, I just say he was kind of whatever. Like he definitely did influence the character growth of Wade, and not actually it was just Wade. He was the only one that even affected anything, and I think he was good for what he was made to do, I think is what I'd say.
Yeah. So you mentioned the family that he was trying to sing karaoke with, and there was a Nintendo Switch, I believe, in that scene. I think the little girl was playing it, and Diggy Dog brought that up there. I know the disrespect on Sega, man. Come on. But yeah, I think Jack Sinclair was kind of a whatever character. He was just strange to me. He was really weird. And it's kind of sad, and it calls to question, I guess, an element of Wade's character, because he says, like, Jack, you're my best friend. So it made me wonder, what about Tom? You would think that they had a decent relationship, like being cops from the same town. In the comics, I think they go on a fishing trip together. I just feel like Tom's such a nice guy, at least in the movies. Maybe Wade never really thought of them as friends, though. So, I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing to potentially think about if you care about the human characters. But yeah, it was weird that he was hanging out with this Jack guy.
Yeah. I always thought it was established in the movies that Tom was Wade's best friend. And stuff like that, it always just kind of makes me think, when going back to think about these episodes, did the writers like really pay attention to these movies? Like they would have had to have watched them in order to write this show, but like something just seems way too off for this to be like people who know or even enjoy these films. I don't know, it's just something off.
Well, and I think it goes back to kind of like what we said, where episode 1 was so strong. It was such a good episode. And that one, I believe, was directed by Jeff Fowler. So he understands this franchise, he understands these characters, and he understands what we like and don't like about this movie universe. So I think that also just really shows why that first one was so good, having him direct it. And I don't know if he has writing credits for that first episode or not, but maybe that really plays into some of these weird inconsistencies. Now, it could be the case that, like Diggy Dog says here, can't Wade have two best friends? I mean, yeah, you can claim to have two best friends, but you only have really, I mean, realistically, you only have one best friend, right?
Yeah.
And Christopher says that maybe he sees Tom more as family, and that's possible too. But even for my friends that I consider family, like I consider a lot of my like really good friends, like my brothers, right?
Yeah.
I would still consider them like my best friend, I guess. Or consider them a friend, not like just put them into a separate category where they're actually family. So I just thought it was weird that he was like, oh, this Jack Sinclair guy's my best friend. And clearly Jack didn't care about him. He threw him to the side in the first episode. It seems like Tom actually cares about Wade from what we've seen. So that was something that struck me as odd. And like you said, there's some weird inconsistencies here where it's like, the people writing this or working on this, are they really like paying attention to the prior movies? Because for a fan, like it matters to me. Like I noticed these things, like the whole Knuckles dad situation. So it's not a huge issue at the end of the day, but it is maybe something to think about, that maybe we need some writers who actually care.
Yeah.
So episode 5, we finally get to see Carrie Ewells as Wade's father. What a grand entrance, once again using the licensed music, having a little montage of him playing poker and other things at Reno. A very eccentric character, I'll say, and I think he plays him well. Like, this is a villain that is fun to hate, fun to have on screen, and he's a legendary actor, so of course he brings it. Um, More so than a character like Wanda, where it's like Wanda, I think, is supposed to be grating and annoying, and we aren't maybe supposed to like her. But I think they maybe underestimated how much we wouldn't enjoy her character. Where I think they did a good job with Carrie Yules, and you mentioned that earlier, Sanic Boy. So, what do you think about episode 5 and Wade finally getting to meet his father?
Like I said, this was my least favorite episode, mainly due to the fact that it has the least amount of Knuckles in it. Like, I think he's literally in there for like maybe 2-3 minutes at most, and that's pretty much. I know people say like a minute or like 30 seconds, but that's just straight up not true. And I was thinking that myself. I was like, no, he pops up more. But yeah, he has the least amount of screen time here, and for a show called Knuckles, it's very distracting, to say the least. But no, they did really cool things with Wade and his father here. Even if it was ultimately disingenuous by the end, I feel like there was still good character interaction there between those two. And through all the faults of the show's writing, I do think that their bond, whether how real it was or not, it was still really cool.
Yeah, I think it was cool in the fact that for a while it had me kind of fooled, right? Is he manipulating Wade, or is he someone that maybe actually regrets his decision to leave and cares about Wade because he kept all those CDs or whatever around? So yeah, I think they did a good job with his character. Now, Knuckles, like you said, does not have a lot of screen time in this episode, and that is definitely a problem. The moments he does have are pretty good. I like at the beginning when he's talking to Wade and he's like, all right, I'm gonna say, like, what you need to say to your father. And he's like, I've come here to destroy you and take your place as the head of the family or something. And his dad's like, what? Like, that, I thought that was perfect humor for Knuckles. That really worked for me. I wish we got a little bit more of that, because he's like hanging out at a bar or something for like the rest of the episode, so not really doing too much, which is a shame, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to learn more about like the bowling tournament and stuff. Riveting content, for Sonic fans. I know we all are really waiting to see how good Wade is at bowling. We do get actually some interesting stuff, in my opinion, but this makes sense. You don't like these characters, so it makes sense why you don't like episode 5. We get to see more of the gun agents and the buyer, which I really, really like. I don't know. I like his base. The whole green setup is kind of cool. It gives off that like villainous vibe to me. We see that he means business. He captured the 2 runaway gun agents. He's like ready to like end them on the spot, but they're kind of begging like, hey, we'll make sure we get Knuckles. Like, give us one more chance. He's like, all right, if you mess this up, like it's done. It's cut for you guys. So I really like that aspect of him. He was intimidating. You can see in this image right here just how much he's like towering over these 2 people. And that really adds to his intimidation factor. So I thought that whole scene was cool. I wish we got to see more of his base, more of the inner workings. Like, what are they like working on? Are they working on another suit of armor for him or some other contraptions? I would have loved to have seen more of the buyer. Like Digidog says here, like the meme that you sent me, the buyer man is complete potential, man. I agree. He's such a cool character. They make mention of him too in what the Sonic prequel comic. He is trying to buy like Eggman tech or something like that. So, and we see him with one of those drones that he's trying to buy. So he ends up getting stuff, but I wish we could have seen more of him. I think in the future, if we do move away from Robotnik, who knows how long Jim Carrey's going to do these movies, having a character akin to the buyer, if not the buyer himself, would be a cool idea for like an original villain. They clearly can like do really good original villains, flush them out a bit more. Yeah, I could see original villains like him working in like a movie if they gave us a more interesting backstory, maybe more screen time with him. What do you think about this scene, Sanic Boy? Because I know you don't like these characters that much, so
For as much as I don't like these characters, I did think it was at least interesting that they actually were now mentioning their motivations and such, and it wasn't just, oh, I work for you, and then they go off and go fight Knuckles. I just wish that one, they would have kind of set up the fact that that big mech suit that they were making, like just have it in the background somewhere, that kind of would have been cool, or at least parts of it, so that you wouldn't reveal the whole thing early. And two, I do like the design of the base. I think it's really cool. I think the green for some people might be a bit overdone, but obviously it's my favorite color.
I was gonna say we're green color fans, so
and like I said, people may think it's overdone. I think stuff like that looks pretty cool. I don't know.
I agree. I really like the lighting of the base. It kind of sets the tone. I think I can't remember if there was like a villain theme when they like showed the base, but I feel like they could have done a really cool one whenever they cut to this like base and had like a blah, blah, or like some kind of like synth going that would have like, you know, you just have to do it, play it for like 3-5 seconds really quick while you're like showing the like a wide shot of the base, and then before we get to the characters talking, you can cut away from it. But that could have been kind of cool. Maybe have like a villain theme for the buyer or something. Let's see. Hyperline says, if this was made with people not from the Sonic crew, probably not, talking about what we were saying earlier, that maybe they don't really do their research with the movies and care, which that would suck. I mean, there's a lot of care put into this show, but there's little bits of inconsistencies here and there. DigiDog says, parallel idea. The things in Knuckles' backstory to what Wade deals with, Mason and Willoughby, equals the Owls, Pistol Pete, and or the buyer equals Iblis. Okay. Christopher says, yeah, all Sonic fans love bowling. Sonic spin bowling win. There we go. An idea for a pitch that to Sega.
Yeah.
Have the base theme be like Sat AM Robotnik theme for the buyer. Yeah, I think it would have been cool to have like a villain theme or something. Like the Prowler kind of gets like a sound or a theme, I think, in the Spider-Verse movies. Do something like make it a little more intimidating. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
So here we go. The bowling stuff. ESPN the Ocho, which is obviously a big meme. They've used ESPN 8 the Ocho for like things like Dodgeball. I think another movie possibly. I just didn't really care about this stuff at all. I don't know what you thought.
You know, as a big, I have a special, I should say, relationship with the movie Dodgeball, because it is how I discovered you can throw up by laughing too hard.
Yeah.
That movie is so funny. I recommend, if anyone hasn't seen it, go watch it after this stream. It is it's definitely 2000s, late 90s humor, but such a great film. Or no, I shouldn't say great, but it is hilarious.
No, it's great. I love that movie. And you know, this harkens to it, like the montage of them playing dodgeball against their opponents, and we kind of get like a montage here of Wade bowling against everyone.
Yeah.
Not as funny though. Dodgeball is hilarious. Like I love the themed outfits that they have, like the lumberjacks, and the announcers are like timber when like a guy gets hit and he's like toppling over. But yeah, dodgeball is definitely great.
Yeah.
I love Justin Long. He's a hilarious actor.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say before I cut you off?
But yeah, other than that, there's not really too much substance, unless you know of Dodgeball and other movies that ESPN the Ocho has been associated with. Like, it's a cool little reference. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely a cool reference. For a younger audience, they wouldn't get it. But I think this is like, we kind of were on that other joke in, what was it, episode 3, where we're like, maybe younger audiences wouldn't get it, but maybe they would. I think this is a much better reference to something, a much better joke kind of to have in there.
Yeah.
And I like this moment. I grabbed this screenshot because I think it was a really wholesome moment where you see just how much Wade's mother cares about him. She knew what the father's like, where Wade doesn't. Wade kind of has this, I don't know, like a
naivete.
Yeah. That, and like he pictures his father in a way where it's like he's the ideal father, but that's not that's a picture that's completely in Wade's head. It's not who his father really is, and his mother knows him better than anyone. She's like, I haven't always been the best mom. We had some rough times, so like I don't want to see you get hurt. Like you said, he is definitely naive about it. So I like this moment that she was just trying to like spare him from the pain of who his father really was. I think it's a sweet moment, and unfortunately, Wade kind of just wants to believe that his dad's a good guy. That's not what the reality is, unfortunately, for Wade. But I like this character moment. It was short, it was impactful, it hit. This is the kind of stuff that they needed to have more of, and cut out some of the other like filler stuff with the family, because there's some really impactful stuff, at least in my opinion, with the family. There's too much that just doesn't work with them. I thought this was one scene that did it perfectly.
Yeah, this was one of the only times where they let a scene sit without having a joke, and it landed perfectly. Like, it was so great. I love this. Was my favorite scene from the episode, was her telling him that, I know you want this version of him, but that's not what you're gonna get. Like, it's very real, I would almost say. Like, I'm glad they didn't do the whole like subjective morality thing where like, well, maybe he could be good. You know, it was just kind of misunderstood. Like, he did an objectively bad thing by abandoning his family in turn for a career. So I'm glad that they presented it like that, and not like this is a guy that could be redeemed. I did like that.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there, because that's something that's a modern Hollywood trope right now, is like having it be like, well, there is a side to every story, which sure enough, but what Wade's dad did is despicable, in all honesty. So I like that they just were like, all right, he's a villain. He's trying to manipulate Wade. We're not redeeming him in this. This isn't his story. So I did like that they did that. That was a good point. Vice Hella says style is essential to Sonic. So when the buyer doesn't have a theme, you really notice it. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sonic is so much about style, and having the theme would have just made him a little bit cooler. Like, I think he's a really cool character already. I would love to have a villain theme for him. So, of course, Wade's dad betrays his family once again, sells them out, which someone mentioned earlier. There should have been a better connection with Wade's father and maybe the buyer and stuff like that. Yeah, this just felt like whatever. Like, it was weird that they were working together. He wanted to get the cash prize, the cash money, whatever, and take his son out of the bowling tournament. So it works that way. It was maybe a little too convenient of a villain plot, but it is what it is. And we see his father's true colors, and Wade, for the first time, kind of realizes like his mom was right. So what this episode ends on, like a cliffhanger, right? They want to use Wade to trick Knuckles to coming up an elevator, and then they're gonna get him. So what did you think about the ending to this episode that is overall your least favorite one?
I thought it was actually a good cliffhanger, because then the next episode we'll talk about that. But they set it up really well that you don't know exactly what's going to happen, which I didn't know either. Even though I knew what the ending of the show was, like, I didn't know how they got to that point. So it was actually a bit intriguing for me. And this scene that you're showing on screen here is actually the hardest I'd laughed all episode. Because,
really?
Yeah, because when Willoughby is like threatening Wade with the death of one of his family members, is pointing it towards Wanda. He was like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard. That was one of the best jokes of this series, especially because of how mean Wanda has been. Like, it was just great.
Yeah, that was a great moment. Comedy is also a hard thing to do, and I think maybe that's why this show was so hit or miss for some people, because there are moments like that where it's like you just have that guttural laugh coming out because they really do nail the comedy. But then there's other moments where it's like maybe it lands for someone else, but like it really just cringed me out or did not work for me. So comedy is always a risk, I think, because everyone's taste when it comes to comedy is so different. Like action is action, right? The fights we talked about were so good, even if they weren't like the best fights I've ever seen. It was entertaining enough. Action's not necessarily the hardest thing to do. But yeah, comedy I think is a lot more difficult. So maybe, I don't know. I don't even know how they go forward doing comedy, because that's also some of the weakest points for me in the Sonic movies. I don't know how you feel about Sonic Boy. You'll have to let me know, but sometimes the comedy is really miss for me, like miss after miss after miss. And then sometimes there's like a really funny moment. Like, I guess just to throw out a random example, I loved the dance scene in Sonic 3 between Gerald and Robotnik. And a lot of people hate that scene. Usually I don't like stuff like that. I don't know why, but just to the music and whatnot, it cracked me up. But I know a lot of people are like, that was so stupid. Like, why did they do that? And I understand where those people are coming from. But I don't know. It's just like, maybe tone down the comedy or have like some quality control with the comedy or something, and find a really good medium where it's like, this is humor that most people will like, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think about the comedy in the Sonic franchise? Because it's prevalent throughout, since it's a kids movie.
It's definitely hit or miss. Like you said, kids movie, so not all of the jokes are going to land for me, because they're either pop culture references, just kind of dumb jokes, or like fart and poop humor. Like, not really my interest as like a 16, 17-year-old boy, right? But like, it's mostly the jokes that you're not expecting, like the dance stuff, like you were saying. Or there's this one where after the dance, he was like I can't believe it. It's like a woman in the military, like, again, a bunch of teenage boys like in the theater, like that. We were laughing. Everyone looked at us in the theater when that, like, because we were laughing so hard. Oh my goodness, yeah. It's just jokes.
I feel like that was a joke that, yeah, like everyone loved that. Like, a woman in the military, like my girlfriend was cracking up. Like, there's jokes that like I feel like almost everyone will laugh at. So if they can find a way, that's so difficult because humor, like I said, is subjective. But if they can find a way to like get jokes that land more, maybe have like test screenings for them or something, I think it would really help the show, because there's so many awkward moments in this show where it's like the fork moment, that was them attempting comedy. I feel like Wanda stabbing Wade, and that was just not funny at all to me. It's played off like it's supposed to be funny, and I don't know. Vice Hella says comedy is better when it's physical without seemingly hurting each other, like Amy in some of the Sonic games. And yeah, like I like some of the physical humor, but like the knife one, I would say that's not really, or the fork one rather, it's not really my cup of tea. Plushy DX says humor is difficult. I agree. Digidog says all my boys hate Wanda. Rachel is better than her.
True.
Yeah, Rachel has some really funny moments in 2, I think, but also a lot of people didn't like 2. But so 5 is Sonic Boy's least favorite, and I can definitely see it. So we'll head into the final episode. We've had a pretty good discussion thus far, recapping everything. So Knuckles goes up the elevator, and he has a pretty cool fight sequence. What did you think about this scene?
I mean, you pretty much summed up my thoughts right there. It was a pretty cool fight sequence. I liked what they did with the rings too. Like Knuckles punched them, then they separated, and it was like almost a like black hole or war, like, you know, in Doctor Strange where Loki goes through that infinitely falling thing and he just comes back out. It was kind of like that. I thought it was really cool, especially when they collide at the end. I don't think we've ever seen anything like that where like rings collide once they're all wrapped up, and I think that was also cool as well. Not that they're going to give the rings a bunch of lore or anything, but just cool little things like that just make it a nice little cherry on top.
Yeah, I grabbed that scene because it really got me thinking, where did they go? Like, are they dead? I don't know. We see at the beginning the guy gets kicked to the Mushroom Planet, left to, die or, live out his life on the Mushroom Planet, which is a very hostile place. If you've read the Sonic prequel comics, once again, we get to see a little bit more of Robotnik's journey there. But this is like an infinite looping, like ring portal vortex thing. And it's clearly not sending them to the mushroom planet. So when this thing closes and the gun agents are sent there, all I was left wondering is what happened to these two. Is it like instant death? Are they sent to a parallel world? Are they sent to some other world? Are they trapped in some like black hole kind of like ring portal thing? So it left a lot to the imagination, I guess, which was kind of fun because I really don't know what happened to them. And I think that's one of the most intriguing parts about this fight. We also get to see the buyer in his mech suit. And my first thoughts when I saw this mech suit was, this is the Rhino suit from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like down to just about everything. Sonic Boy looks like... I gotta hear what you say, because I'm guessing you had the same thoughts.
I didn't initially, because at this point I was like, oh my goodness, just wrap it up. But now that you're saying it, yeah, that looks almost exactly like the Rhino suit from that movie.
Yeah, that's all I could think of. Every time I see this, I'm like, I kind of like it, but I kind of hate it at the same time. It just looks like the Rhino suit to me too much. I know a lot of people didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man's Rhino suit. I understand why. I thought it was cool. This suit is cool, but it ends up not being as cool as I would have wished it was. The buyer doesn't seem all too threatening, like at the end fight. So I kind of have problems with that, because you're building him up as the main bad guy for this entire show, even though he hardly gets any screen time. Like, I've got to see what it is, because it probably amounts to like 5 minutes. In all honesty, it's like really pathetic. And then he gets a fight scene that I wished was cooler, and it's just not. What do you think about this fight scene?
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, I think they wanted to draw a parallel between the first movie and this, where it's like, this is his big flying ship that Robotnik had, but it just doesn't land nearly as well, especially because this comes after Sonic 2, where the stakes were way higher by the end with the big Death Egg robot. But now with, I think this is more so objectively the biggest project we've had, seeing it's those 3 hours. It's a big cast as well. I think that now that we're smaller, just the size of a building or so, and even a kind of smaller building too, it's just not nearly as impactful.
Yeah, and we've seen Knuckles overcome greater threats. Like you said, Sonic 2 fighting the Death Egg robot is a huge thing, like a huge feat. Robotnik even had the Master Emerald in him. He was like an all-powerful god at that point. And of course, Knuckles was working with Sonic and Tails, but still, this just felt like it could have been so much more. Once again, it's the potential man. I wanted a cooler fight. I feel like we didn't really get that. We do have a great moment, in my opinion at least, where Wade kind of like stands in. We talked about this, kind of like how Tom does in the first movie, and he's standing in front of Knuckles, protecting him for a little bit. So that's kind of cool that Wade gets his hero moment, because he's such a clowned on character. So I'm glad they gave him something at least finally. But overall, very lackluster, very forgettable fight, very forgettable villain, unfortunately. Yeah, I just wish that we got more from it, because I really want to like dive into the fight and how cool it was, but it wasn't. It was like Wade threw some bowling balls at him. He talked a big game, but then Knuckles had the flames of disaster and just kind of like whooped butt. So we also in this get the conclusion to the bowling tournament where Wade wins. I'm sure you are all curious as to what happened. Sonic Boy, I know you were on the edge of your seat, dude. Like waiting. Will Wade win this bowling tournament? You've been waiting 6 episodes to see what will happen. How did you feel about finally seeing?
My mind.
Yeah.
At this point, I just did not care at all. It's just, I know he's gonna win. Just let it be over.
Yeah. So I was doing my rewatch like literally minutes leading up to this to talk about it, and dude, I was so bored. I was more so just focused on getting ready for the stream at this point. I'm like, man, like I don't care about this. I don't care about the bowling competition. I mean, I guess I kind of care about Wade. Like, He's been in the Sonic movies, but like I didn't care. And that therein lies the problem with the Knuckles show is they don't give you a reason to care. And at the heart of it all, it should have been a Knuckles journey about him either training Wade or how he became a warrior himself, but it just wasn't that. And they messed up big time. There's a lot of fun to be had in this show because I don't know. I would rewatch this at the end of the day. Sonic Boy, would you rewatch it, or are you like, nah, this once was enough. I'm not going back to this trash.
I might own it multiple times just for a little
There you
collector
go.
thing, but there's no way I'm going back watching this show unless like my kids or something want to watch it. Like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think probably more people share your perspective on that than mine. I like to rewatch stuff. Maybe maybe going into 4 or something, I'll go back and watch it. Or maybe if they keep doing Sonic movies down the line, I'll rewatch it at some point. But yeah, it doesn't really excite me thinking about rewatching it right now at this point. Maybe someday I'll forget more of it as my memory starts to fade. And I'll be like, oh, there was a Knuckles show, wasn't there? And I'll go back and rewatch it. But yeah, it's just meh. I don't think it's the worst thing that some Sonic fans tried to make it out to be. Like, dude, people were talking about this like it was the end of the world. Like, this was the worst Sonic thing ever made. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's terrible. So I think it kind of lands in the middle for me. If you had to rank this from like a sliding scale of 1 being the worst, 10 being like the best thing you've ever seen, where would you put this on your list?
I don't want to
put you on the spot.
I don't want to bash on the show, but I'm gonna say a 3 or a 4.
I was gonna say give your honest opinion because at the end of the day, it's just your opinion. It's not a reflection of anything else. Yeah, I think I gave this like a 6 when I reviewed it or something or like a 6 or a 5. But yeah, a 3 is definitely fair. I think they need to try harder. I think if they do another Sonic show, don't come back with another show this quality, because although I enjoyed it, I am a hardcore Sonic fan. You're a hardcore Sonic fan, and a lot of hardcore Sonic fans didn't like it. And my most generous review is like a 6. Like, I would not go higher than a 6. I like a lot of the themes that they were aiming for. They just spread their wings too far, I think, though. Focus in on one thing. Is it going to be the family dynamic? Is it going to be finding the warrior's heart? And really hone in on that instead of like getting messy with your show. So that's my thoughts, at least. This was a good talk, though. It's been since the show came out, I have not seen it, so I had some fun rewatching it. But I don't know. Like I said, it'll probably be a while till I rewatch it again. For Sonic Boy, he ain't watching it again.
Yeah, no.
2 thumbs down. I guess let me ask this question, because I can keep talking if you want to keep going. You tell me whenever you got to bounce. But I do want to pose this question. If we were to get another Sonic show, what character would it be about? Or would it be a collection of characters, maybe a group like the Chaotix? And maybe what villains would you like to see? And I'll let you chew on that. You don't have to answer right away. Maybe I'll pull up some chats while you think about that. But I would like to see another Sonic show someday. You know, I don't want this to be the last, but they do need to do better than the Knuckles show.
Yeah.
Are you good? Do you have a answer?
Yeah, I do. I would go with the Chaotix. I
Chaotix?
genuinely think they would, like, especially with the Chaotix case files, we've seen that they can work well in a long format with good writing and good character interaction. Their dynamic is extremely fun, and I know if they got the writers from the movies to do it, I know they could do really cool things with those characters. And in terms of like villains and such, I'm not sure what they could do in regards to villains. Like the Chaotix themselves, if you were just to focus on them, they don't really have any villains. I guess you could do like like in all of the villains you could do see more like Sonic villains, like overall threats rather than just those guys. So I'm not quite sure on that front. But Infinite was the villain of the Chaos Case file, so maybe do something like him, just have him be a one-off villain. That'd be cool.
So I will ask this. Did you read the IDW 30th anniversary for the Chaotix that came out? Was it this year or last year? It's not too old. A few months back, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's a new character that they introduced called Enigma, and she actually might be a kind of cool character if they were to do a show. What are the odds that they would adapt an IDW character for live action? Probably slim to none. But she's like a thief. She's working undercover as like this like klutzy museum kind of assistant, but secretly she's trying to steal artifacts out from the nose of the Chaotix and obviously the museum that she's working at. And I think a lot of people like her. I like her character. Her design's cool. She's a jackal like Infinite. So that would be they kind of set her up to at the end, like she's going to be a recurring villain for them. So that would be kind of cool to have like a separate villain for the Chaotix like her. But Infinite would be cool. I would love to see him again. But yeah, a Chaotix show, man. You said that. That would be so fun to see a live action Chaotix show. We know they're in the movie universe. They were in the comic, but as background characters. But man, that's like money on the table, right? I feel like a lot of people would be into a Chaotix show, seeing them solve mysteries or something.
Yeah.
So Surya Dragon says the agents are with Infinite, literally. Yeah, they're infinitely flying through ring. That is like, I mean, the more you think about it, it's like they kind of got like a dark end to them. And that guy at the beginning, like Gunn would not be a great company to work for. We see it with what's her name, Agent Rockwell. Is that what her character is in 3? Like she did not care when Agent or Commander Olive Garden died. The first thing she checked was the command codes for the Eclipse cannon. She didn't check like for a pulse or anything. She just grabbed that out of his pocket and it's like, all right, let's go. Like they are cold and careless. So DigiDog says either 2 places, null space or the special zone. Yeah, they might have ended up somewhere there. That would be crazy. I mean, their fate is kind of left up in the air and it's kind of dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, going through warp rings indefinitely. That, I mean, are we sure that the buyer is dead? Did his mech blow up at the end? I might have been looking at my PC when I was rewatching that. I don't remember what happened, to be honest. Knuckles like pulls his like little Doc Ock arms off. I know that, and then I don't really remember what happens.
Yeah, he gets the obnoxiously big ball on top of the building thrown down on him. So I think he's definitely dead.
Yeah, he's cooked. He's cooked. I doubt we'll be seeing him again. I don't think we'll see him again. One positive thing I can say is that not shoving in so many Sonic-related things like the Mario movie. I don't know if that's necessarily a positive. I mean, maybe some people see it as that, but for me, I don't like when things are embarrassed or ashamed to be what they are, right? So like in the early 2000s, before superhero movies were like huge, like based off of comic books, we had like Blade and we had the X-Men. And the X-Men are kind of like notable for shying away from their comic roots. They thought that their yellow costumes from the comics would have looked goofy on screen, right? So they gave them the cool black leather of the early 2000s. And, you know, it works, but after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine and seeing Wolverine in his yellow gear, I'm like, man, that looks so cool. Like, don't shy away from what you are. I love the video games. I love the Sonic video games. I want to see more stuff implemented from it. Not everything needs to be like, oh, do you remember this? Like, you know, Mario's been kind of critiqued for being like just constant references and nostalgia baiting. So maybe not to an obnoxious degree add things, but if you're going to add things from the game, make them relevant, make it cool. Don't shy away from what it is. Sonic started as a game, and it should be proud that it's a game franchise that's lasted 35 years. That's crazy. I'm not even 35 years old. I've been around for a while now, but I mean that's quite an accomplishment. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Sanic Boy? Do you think it's good that they don't shove things in, or would you like to see more? Or are you kind of in the middle?
I'm a bit in the middle. I'd say the movies are definitely trying to be their own thing. Like they're not supposed to be extensions of the games. They're supposed to be the movies. I think they do that fairly well. This is definitely their own universe, and they do really cool things with it. And shoving it in could definitely work. It would definitely need a reason, like you said. But otherwise, I think they should go ahead and do that. But then you get to the point of, oh, the Mario movies do it better, and then we just get to that conversation of, oh, well, we should have had animated movies in the first place. And then, I think what they have right now is perfectly fine, but they should be striving to be more like the video games. And I think one of my bigger issues with this series, Knuckles, is that it almost sometimes, actually most of the time except for episode 4, feels afraid to be the Knuckles show.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It just wants to go full on live action and just not be anything about Knuckles a lot, which is its biggest downfall, and that's what people complained about. You brought up a point about maybe like these movies should have been animated in the first place, and I would love to see like a nice Sonic like animated movie or something like that. I think a lot of the heart does come from the fact that these are live action movies, and maybe that's a hot take, but I like seeing the human element to it, I guess.
Yeah, it really grounds the characters.
Yeah, it does. And it's, maybe it won't hold up well over time, but right now I really like it. I think like Sonic it's so weird because like these movies are so disconnected from the game, like you were saying, Sanic Boy. But I think it works. It weirdly enough works where there's like enough connecting it to the games, but also enough that's so different from the games that it works in a weird way where maybe other franchise wouldn't work. Like the Halo show on Paramount Plus as well, so different from the games, does not really work. Yeah. Also, Wade's arc in the show reminds me of a watered-down version of Poe's arc from Kung Fu Panda 1, where it's about a guy who's seen as a joke by everyone, but becomes a respected warrior in the end. Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Poe also had some like issues with his father and stuff too, since he was adopted or whatever. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting comparison there.
Yeah.
Christopher says it's a middle of the road show as Sonic goes. Yeah, I agree. I definitely think it could have been better. I guess it could have been worse. I'm glad we didn't get anything worse, but let's see. Vice Hella says it's the worst thing because it gives me Chris Thorndike vibes. Christopher says Chris Thorndike isn't that bad. Maybe we'll have to do a Sonic X discussion at some point.
That'd be good.
Dew says, also, Wade is a comic relief character. He doesn't really work as a protagonist either. He's more better for side jokes, not the main focus, because that's his gimmick, being dumb. I agree with that point. I think there was too much emphasis on a character that's kind of just meant to be a side character. Sometimes we don't need to expand on characters that are side characters. Sometimes it's better just like let them be that goofy character, and we don't really need to see their backstory.
Yeah. I think there's this unwritten rule in most fiction of you do not let the comic relief character become the main character, because they are always written with that purpose of being the side comic relief character. And once you try to bring them out into this spotlight, you kind of have to either, one, do something completely different with them, or two, make a full-on comedy project, because otherwise it just kind of feels awkward. And it's kind of like Cars 2. where Mater's the main character, and I know a lot of people like that film. I don't. I think it's the worst Cars film, but it just feels so weird having Mater be the main character of that film. That whole weird that. Maybe we could do a whole Saturday discussion on Cars 2, but
There we go.
that film has made so many weird decisions on its own besides Mater being the main character. But yeah, I think it's just odd having Wade of all people be the main human.
I'll have to watch it because I've actually never seen Cars 2. I knew they took a weird direction with it. I saw Cars 1, love that movie. That movie's timeless. I've heard not so good things about 2 and 3. More so 2, though. I heard that just really takes the franchise in a weird place with the spy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I know the one line from the movie, like the Toll Mater, average intelligence, after the one guy says he's a British intelligence.
Yeah, that's the peak of the film. And then everything just down.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like Maddie, I think even would have been a better character to have be a main character, especially since like Tom gets most of the human shine, I guess, in the Sonic movies. Like he's the central human character. He has the closest bond with Sonic. He's become Sonic's father in a way. So Maddie kind of gets thrown in the background, even though she's kind of like Sonic's mom. And she has some good moments in the movies, but not as many as Tom. So maybe even having her try to like go on an adventure with Knuckles and try to really get him accustomed to home life, family life, or something would have been better. I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole direction with the show was just kind of weird, but I think, yeah, Wade was just supposed to be a silly character, man. Let him be silly. We don't need it to be deep. I do like I said, I like the family moments. I really do. But the show's just all over the place. Dew says, at least Chris had more to do than Wade in comparison. Chris is flawed, and I'm neutral to him. I'll have to watch all of Sonic X. I've seen, like, a lot of it, but not all of it. They go over, like, Sonic Adventure 1 at some point, right? Or Sonic Adventure 2 or something?
They do both. And Sonic Battle, of all things, as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to watch more of it. I was watching through it when it was on, like, Netflix or something, so... Have the main villain or antagonist be Rouge. That would be cool. Do like a chaotic show, and then we follow the chaotics, and in the background, that would be a great way to introduce Rouge, right? You have her sneaking around, and maybe don't show too much of her, and then we finally get like an episode where we see Rouge's POV, and she's stealing and like messing with the chaotics. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think IDW will be in the movies, in my opinion. Yeah, I love IDW. I don't think they will either. They're in kind of a weird place where like they don't ever want to do anything with them, even though we're beginning to see a lot more IDW stuff. But who knows? They're like scared to use them, I feel like. And there's a lot of like Archie fans. I don't know if you've seen this, Sanic Boy, but there's a lot of Archie fans that I think just hate IDW because Archie ended. And I kind of get like that, but I don't know.
They're like
I like IDW.
They're like the Snyder fans of the Sonic.
Literally, they literally are
justified.
Yeah, that's a perfect comparison. Or maybe Metal Sonic, because I was thinking we could get a Knuckles Chaotix adaptation in the show. That'd be cool. Maybe if they like don't have big plans for Metal after Sonic 4, they could use him as like a TV show villain. Bro, the dad annoys me so much. Yeah, he's over the top. I mean, he plays into that villainous role, so I can see people not liking him. I like the actor. I think he did a good job. But I can definitely see being annoyed. He annoyed me in the fact that he was good at being a villain. Hyper Lion says good stories make references matter. Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely agree with that. Dew says this is a watered down version of the first movie. Yeah, we kind of touched upon that. I don't think it's like necessarily a watered down version of the first movie, but more like a parallel of Sonic's journey, and we're seeing Knuckles' journey now. CGI for Knuckles is, yeah, we talked about that, how the CGI is expensive, so they can't have him in every scene. And I said, at least in my opinion, maybe Sanic Boy can say his, but if that's the case, and the only way that we can get a Sonic TV show is by having it focused more on the human characters that we don't care about, maybe just don't do it. What do you think, Sonic Boy? Would you rather have like another Sonic show where it's human focused and the main guys we care about are in the background more like this, or would you just rather them not do one?
I have a little bit of a different perspective that you're probably not going to hear much in many other places. But, well, first of all, this is a multi-billion-dollar company, and they can take their time. I don't care, as long as it's good. So, no, you have the resources. You can make a full-on TV show of these characters. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Doesn't matter how expensive it is, because people will show up, especially if it's all animated, because that's what everyone really wants to see. And, I think they could still do really compelling things with these characters, and no matter what format. And even if they can't do a show, do a movie. People still would love. In fact, that would get more reach as a movie, and people would love to see that. In fact, I think it'd be a better story if it was a movie. The Knuckles show is one of those examples of something that really did not need to be stretched out as long as it was, and I think it could have been a perfect hour and a half, 2 hour movie.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it cut some stuff out, make it a movie or a special or something. And I agree with your point. They do have the money. They bought Warner Brothers. Like, it's not like this company's, not doing well. So if they have the money to afford that, they could have sunk money into this. Yeah, I think give it the time. Give it the Game of Thrones treatment where, they put money into their shows. They take a long time with the production of it and actually craft something that people like. I think that would be great. Maybe it's just they think this is a kid franchise and they don't care about it. But I would love to see more care put into these shows because, Sonic's like my favorite franchise now. I never thought I would say that, but I love this franchise so much. So I want to see more care for it. Vice Hella says Sonic has always been about having out there adaptations. That has been the strongest thing about this franchise, from the comics to the manga to the TV shows. Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about Sonic is it is never the same anywhere. Like, from game to game, the gameplay is always changing. The stories are always changing. Like, IDW feels so different than Archie, which feels so different from Fleetway. With that being said, even if the stuff is out there, it doesn't mean that it can't be hit or miss. A lot of the Sonic games, people would say, are not great. I like a lot of them that I've played. I like most of them that I've played. And I think the same thing falls for the movies and the shows. Like, this was a huge miss. Like, as much as I do enjoy the Knuckles show, it's still a huge miss in most people's eyes. So they need to reevaluate going forward if they do another TV show, because this didn't drum up any excitement. And in fact, it made people feel like we were returning to that kind of era of the mid 2000s, or sorry, mid 2010s rather, where people were kind of like getting falling out of love with the franchise and maybe feeling like it's not heading in the right direction. So hopefully they really learned from that show. I remember hearing that when Sonic 3 was filmed. Can you guys talk about the post-credit scene in the Knuckles show? I don't know if I watched that, to be honest. Dude,
I know. I know there was this one part, like a little bit in between the credits, where it was like they're off riding into the sunset. Knuckles finally found his gem, which was the theme song of the show. But I'm not sure if that's the post-credit scene you're referring to.
Yeah, I have no clue. You guys were you'll have to tell us in the chat, because as soon as the credits hit, I turned it off because I was already cutting it close to the stream. And I was ready to be done. I was like, I've had enough of the Knuckles show. Plushy says Cars 2 is amusing. Don't say that around Sonic Boy, man.
No. It's a funny movie. I find much entertainment out of Cars 2. I just do not think it is a good film whatsoever.
Fair enough. Plushy says Maddie is a bit generic. And once again, Maybe that's a good like reason to put her in a show if you want to flesh characters out. I could see them making Maddie's character more interesting rather than Wade, who never really felt interesting. Like he got some growth, sure, but I just didn't care. And I don't think Wade was included in the casting for Sonic 4, so we might not even see him moving forward. So it's like, why are we taking shows and devoting time to them if we're not going to move forward with them? So, I think that would be a shame too if he doesn't show up at least as like a cameo. Like Sonic 3, it made me laugh when I saw him. I'll be honest. I liked his little interaction there, but I don't know. Imagine if in some alternate cut in the Knuckles, they tried to make Wade and Knuckles dead like they did with Tom. Oh, that'd be funny.
Be cool.
Chaotix were originally going to be a Knuckles show, but I believe they were cut early on. I've never even heard about that. I would be surprised, honestly, if that's true. I mean, it could be. I have no idea, but you would think that they'd maybe want to include the Chaotix in something bigger, like a movie, like the possible Sonic event film or something.
Yeah.
To drum excitement, because if you introduce characters in a show, not everyone's going to watch the show. Like Sonic fans were going to turn up, right? But there's families that, you know, take their kids because their kids like Sonic and to the movies. And they're not going to know who these characters are if, like, we introduce the Chaotix in the TV show and then we're going to put them in the next film, let's say, and they don't get an intro in the film since they were introduced in the show. People would be pretty confused, I think. Not the diehards, obviously, but so Hyperline says he's seen the Archie and IDW arguments. Yeah, I never realized. Like I heard that the Sonic fan base could get toxic, and on YouTube, like, you know, obviously you get the mean comments every now and again, but I didn't know how bad it was until I made a Twitter account. Man, I've seen some people really get heated over there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, anything else you want to talk about, Sonic Boy? I'm free. I'm free to keep chatting. We can talk anything Knuckles. We can talk anything Sonic if you want. If you want to head, we've been going for almost 3 hours now. It's been a long conversation. Or if you want to wrap and give your final thoughts on the Knuckles show, we can do whatever.
Well, you know, I'm free for the next however many hours of sunlight. So, you know, I could keep talking, but we can wrap the Knuckles discussion up if you want, because I know you probably have stuff you want to talk about still. So I'm totally free for that. So let's wrap up Knuckles. And
let's wrap Knuckles. Overall, like I said, I've kind of said my piece on it. I really like it for what it is. Now, obviously, as we said, it could have been so much better. And I think Sonic Boy summed it up really early on in our conversation that this is like just missed potential all throughout this. He even brought up the idea that this could have just been a journey about Knuckles kind of becoming a guardian or whatever, or a warrior rather. And I would have much rather watched that. That being said, it's the first live action Sonic show we've ever got. I never even imagined that would be a possibility, right? A live action Sonic show. So I'm appreciative that we have it. I would like it to be improved upon if they do go forward with more Sonic stories in a TV format, because it's just something that at the end of the day, while I enjoy the Knuckles scenes, I don't care about the rest too much. I really don't. And I hate to say that about a franchise that I love so much. Closing thoughts, Sonic Boy.
This was one of the worst experiences I think I've ever had as a Sonic fan. Not to immediately, but no, I legitimately do not want to see these writers work on another Sonic project. I do not think they have the chops, or at least not yet. Maybe they could, who knows? But I was very disappointed. There are some moments, obviously, this is a funny show. There are moments you can laugh at, but overall, not the most fun time. And you were kind of mentioning earlier how people were thinking it was back to early 2010s Sonic fans discussion. This is one of those times where I did not feel good being a Sonic fan. you know? And and I'm being genuine in that. I was like, man, like this is the friend. But I know there's so much better stuff. This is just one little chip in the entire front windshield. So, I think that there's much better for this franchise to come ahead, and I am not worried about Knuckles' quality at all. And I'm at least glad that other people found enjoyment in it, as I know I did for a few moments of the show.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to conclude that because, Sonic is in a good place. There's always going to be hits and misses. This is a huge miss, but I'm not worried. I think that's something that, is interesting that you brought up. It's like I watched it, and while I didn't enjoy it that much, I wasn't worried that like it's going to tank the Sonic franchise or the movie qualities are going to be any worse. So that's a bright spot, at least, that we like have so much faith in what they've been doing with the movies that going forward we're not really concerned about it. So let's see. Move that. There's so much to talk about, but now I'm blanking. Oh, I did want to ask you, what Sonic projects do you have down the pipeline, if any? Any videos coming up?
Dude, no, I've kind of had to it's one of those times of year again where I had to clear all the stuff out of my phone because I'm losing storage, and because I do everything that I do is off of my phone. There's nothing that I do on a computer, a laptop, an iPad. Sometimes I look up stuff on my iPad for videos, but that's it. Right? So it's one of those cases where, okay, I'm back to square one again. I can finally do all these things that maybe I wanted to do. I have a Sonic X Generations review. I have to get done still at around 5K subscribers. So that's my 5K goal right now. And now I should probably do a review of the Knuckles show. That's
you should.
I should definitely get to that in these next few weeks. And there's also a bunch of videos that I've promised over these past 4 years of me having my channel that I'm like, okay, now it's time to make these videos. But knowing me, those videos aren't coming out for years later. So, but yeah, I don't really have anything too big. Just want to focus on the Sonic news right now. And maybe in between, we can pump out a few video essays, discussions, stuff like that.
There you go. And if you guys aren't already subscribed, head over to Sanic Boy's channel at Sanic Boy. Let's get him to 5,000 subscribers here soon, guys, because his channel is really good. He has stuff coming. Subscribe to him if you want news. He gets it out fast. So if there's anything you want to know about merch or games or, tons of stuff, go on over to his channel. Good stuff over there. But yeah, I ask because I have content coming down the pipeline too. Taking a while though. This past month has been kind of busy. I don't know why. It just hit April, and all of a sudden just stuff just started coming up. So content slowed a little bit on my end, but I'm really glad we're doing these streams because it gives me an opportunity to at least talk to people about Sonic when content's a little bit slow right now. I still have a video on my second channel about Sonic and Resident Evil that I've been talking about for 2 months, and I need to make more progress on it. And then I have a Blaze the Cat video that I'm working on. Ooh. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Really excited to talk about Blaze. She's been a really cool character in the IDW comics, and I hope we see more of her. Beyond that, let's see. We got the IDW news out. Are you going to be reading? Are you caught up with IDW? Because we have a comic coming out this coming week, this Wednesday.
Pretty much caught up. I always hear the YouTube discussions and stuff like that, but I never have read anything up until issue. I don't know, volume 20 of the book, which is up till issue 80 or something like that. So, I'm there.
Because if you want, we might talk about that next week, because I've been wanting to discuss Sage and her character as a whole with you, and she's a really big part of the comics right now, obviously, with this little arc going on with her, Belle, and Metal Sonic. So it might be something fun to discuss that'll be pretty fresh, maybe get some people excited about the IDW comics. But yeah, that'll be fun. We're getting close to issue 100, probably a year from now we'll hit it. That'll be a big event. But there's 1 week this month, or not this month, but in the coming month, where there's gonna be like 3 different Sonic comics coming out at once. Like we have the main line, and then I think we get like the Godzilla one and like a DC crossover. So it's gonna be crazy. I mean, later this year, it's gonna be insane with Sonic content. So you better get ready making news, man, because you're gonna be busy, dude.
I might start after focusing. I might have to start focusing on the comics. I never talk about those things unless it's announcements or anything like that. So, yeah, and as far as we know, the comics are carrying this year so far. Besides Chaos Case Files and Frontiers Definitive Edition, like the comics are where it's at. That's where the good stories are happening. That's where good art, especially good art, is happening. Good character dynamics, you know. And like I said, besides Chaos Case Files, but we're already said and done with that. So yeah, I might have to start covering all those now.
Yeah, it's crazy that right now all we really know about is like comics coming out this year, and there's a bunch of them. Like we talked earlier today about the 35th anniversary ones coming out sometime in July. Jeez, there's so many comics that I'm gonna have to cover as well. But it's like, where's the games? Where's the games? Where's the shows? Where's the movies? I want to talk about that stuff too, but I just wish that we had a little bit more to sink our teeth into other than comics. I mean, comics are like my passion. I love reading. I love talking about that stuff. But I've been craving a Sonic game, especially because like I told you this last week or something. I'm not really a big fan of Sonic Racing Cross World. That's probably my least favorite Sonic game ever, honestly, that I've played at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm desperate for a new Sonic game. Like I'm really wanting one. So I hope we get information about that soon, or a trailer for the movie. Oh, I totally forgot. I wanted to talk about that with you. Did you hear about what was shown off at CinemaCon?
I did. I was going to cover it this weekend or this week sometime. Let's go over it now, though.
Yeah, so we got voice clips and maybe some footage apparently from the other movies. But at the end of what they showed off at CinemaCon, Jim Carrey was leaving what people were saying was like a spaceship, and I believe it's the Eclipse cannon. And he said, Robotnik saves world. So interesting, right?
Yeah.
Why is he speaking like that? Robotnik saves world. The way that people were saying that, it made me think like, does he have like brain damage or something? I have no idea. Maybe the explosion caused some kind of chaos to him. Because that's like how Bizarro talks from Superman. He's like, I don't know if you're familiar with Bizarro from DC, but he's like a twisted version of Superman. He's a little bit slower. So he goes like, me Bizarro, me save you. And that's just, I kind of like heard Robotnik speaking that way, because the way people were saying he said it was like not, oh, I'm Robotnik, I have come to save the world. It was just literally Robotnik saves world. And I'm like, that's weird.
That kind of sounds like a Rocky from Project Hail Mary, just a little bit.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. So I heard it's really good.
Go see it as soon as you can. It is such a great.
The alien, right?
Yeah.
Rocky. Yeah, I saw it in the trailers, like him like interacting with that rock. So there's something weird going on with Robotnik from what we're hearing. And it seems that not only has he survived, but the Eclipse cannon is like in functioning capacity where he's able to be aboard it and like get off it just fine. Now, did he end up at another planet, another timeline, another dimension? Who knows? But it raises some interesting questions.
Yeah. You know, there's did you hear about the deleted ending of Sonic 3?
Was that the one where it shows like the alternate future of him, or am I?
No. It was back in December of 2023. There were storyboards that leaked of the ending of Sonic 3.
Okay. You'll have to tell me, because I might have seen it, but I can't recall right now.
Yeah, anyway, it's essentially almost the exact same as what we got. But during this scene, we get more of Eggman, and we actually get to see time reversing. And it was like and this is real because it literally looks almost exactly like the final product. But anyway, time reverses, and then eventually they just bloop out of existence, which means they most likely either went back or went forward in time, which is, I think, the only reason why we didn't get that ending was because it got leaked. So I think they kind of had to scramble to change it just a little bit to make it a little more ambiguous as to what happens, if not say, yes, he died. But yeah, I think that's exactly what the storyboard was. It was time going backwards.
So, do you think he wound up in the past somehow?
I think that was the plan originally, but then now, obviously, it's probably future, if not around the same time-ish. Who knows, right? But maybe he did. Maybe he went to the past.
That'll be interesting. What do you think about, like, them incorporating time travel into this universe? Because once you start to add elements like that, things can get messy. But if you do it right, I mean, it can be a really good story. I mean, people love Back to the Future. Like we talked about Christopher Lloyd earlier. Great films. But things like even Avengers Endgame got a little bit messy with their time travel and how they resolved things. So it's a risk, at least I think, in my opinion, to take the time travel route. But I don't know. I'm willing to have fun with it.
Yeah, it's 100% a risk. I know a lot of people do like to have more condensed, like less complicated, because Back to the Future can get, even Back to the Future, one of the simpler ones can get a bit complicated as to how things eventually work out. But I think maybe if they want to set themselves apart, they do something different where, okay, the status quo changes so much to the point where, okay, now them just being reckless through time actually makes sense. And it's like there's no real rules. You did what you did. Now it's like this, and there's no way you can change it back or anything like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that actually would be cool. Vice Hella says, I would love to see you guys talk about Sonic theories. I make videos about the lore and don't see very many thoughts on mutations and chaos energy. Like the chaos energy mutated them into what they are. I mean, that could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at some point too, maybe we'll Sonic Boy and I kind of talked about this before, that we might either like pick a video for the week to like show off from other people's channels, or maybe we'll even like review one live and like talk about some of the ideas that they bring up. But if you guys ever have any ideas of what you want us to talk about, you know, make sure to put them in the chat. We're always reading it. So, but yeah, I'm excited for Sonic 4. We're probably in the middle of filming right now, like, well, not middle, but early on in filming. So probably not going to see anything for a while until like the holiday season when they start ramping up marketing and stuff for it. But
yeah, around like Thanksgiving, or maybe even what's the Jeff Keighley Game Awards. It's probably where we're going to see that trailer.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Probably the Game Awards, December. Wasn't there like rumors that there was going to be a Sonic show, or that there is a new Sonic show in the works? Not like a live action universe, but
yeah, it's like connected to the games more so. I think I've heard stuff about that because like every few months or so, Daniel Arcade is always like, "Yep, there's a new Sonic show in development." Yeah. If it's new news, even though he's told us that like 3 times now. But yeah, hopefully something good comes out of that. Hopefully they do like. I saw Speed Supersonic mention like his dream show would be something based off of like the IDW casts and like them
cool.
adventures. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. It seems like Sega's holding things tight to their chest right now, which I know they're saving it for like the Sonic Central or something. These early months though, I mean, we're only 4 months into the year, but it's like, man, give us something to talk about. Give us something to like look at, to be excited for. Yeah. Sometimes like the excitement is better than the destination itself, like that journey of like anticipating what's coming. I like better. So yeah. Anything you want to talk about, Sonic Boy?
No.
Yeah, we had a long discussion. I'm glad that we finally got to talk after you watched the Knuckles show for the first time. It was fun seeing your reaction to it. But yeah, this was a good Sonic Saturday, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Be here next week unless something comes up in our schedules. We should be here again talking with you guys. Maybe we'll react to some videos of your guys's or some other Sonic video or something. Maybe talk about Sage and the new comic. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us. It was a good time. As always, guys, you can go find Sonic Boy over at his channel, Sonic Boy. Get his subscribers up, guys. Come on, let's go. He has a great channel. He's a good dude. So, you know, as the year goes on, there's going to be a lot of Sonic news coming. So you're going to make sure that you're going to want to make sure that you're subscribed so you can catch up with everything over there and know when things are coming out and what's coming out. But as always, take care, guys. Peace.